Hello everyone, and welcome to the Saiyan What Ifs. So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Goku wielded the Infinity Gauntlet and became the Saiyan. Beyond Time, Goku x Bulma x Scarlet Witch Marvel x Dragon Ball. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Chapter 1. Worlds collide. The sky shattered like stained glass above West City. Goku froze mid-punch, his sparring match with Vegeta instantly forgotten as ribbons of emerald. And crimson light tore through the azure expanse. The familiar weight of Earth's atmosphere suddenly felt wrong, heavier in some places, nearly non-existent in others. Key energy that normally flowed in predictable patterns now swirled chaotically, raising goosebumps along his skin. What the hell is that? Vegeta demanded, already hovering defensively. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Not from their eye. NT erupted training but from the unmistakable sensation of something fundamentally wrong with reality itself. Goku narrowed his eyes, reaching out with his senses. I don't know. It's not a key signature, but it's powerful. Maybe more powerful than anything I've ever felt. The fissure widened, revealing glimpses of unfamiliar stars and cosmic landscapes that had no business being visible from Earth. The training grounds outside Capsule Corporation trembled, grass rippling in waves as gravity fluctuated unpredictably. In the distance, West City's skyline appeared to blur, buildings simultaneously existing and not existing, a visual paradox that made Goku's head throb. Kakarot. Vegeta's voice cut through his daze. Stop gawking and focus. Whatever this is, it's expanding. He was right. The fracture had grown from a single crack to a spiderweb of reality-breaking faults that now encompassed nearly half the visible sky. Through the largest opening, something glimmered, 6 distinct points of light arranged in a formation that seemed deliberately patterned rather than random. Bulma's in the city, Goku said, already pressing 2 fingers to his forehead. I'm going to get her. Vegeta nodded grimly. I'll check on Trunks and Bulma. Meet back here in 5 minutes. If this is another universal threat. Yeah, Goku agreed, his usual carefree expression replaced by serious determination. It feels different this time, though. Not like Beerus or Zamasu or Jiren. This is older somehow. Before Vegeta could respond, Goku vanished with the distinctive pop of instant transmission. The world blurred momentarily before resolving into Bulma's downtown laboratory, where alarms blared from every monitor. The blue-haired scientist frantically typed at 3 keyboards simultaneously. Her normally immaculate lab coat disheveled and her eyes wild with scientific fascination mixed with genuine fear. Goku, she shouted without looking up. Thank goodness. My instruments are going haywire. Whatever's happening is affecting the fundamental forces, gravity, electromagnetism, even the strong nuclear force is fluctuating. It's like reality itself is being rewritten. The building shuddered violently, sending glass beakers crashing to the floor. Goku steadied Bulma with one hand while scanning the readings on her monitors. Despite not understanding the complex data, he recognized danger when he saw it. We need to get you somewhere safe, he said, his voice carrying the quiet authority that emerged only during genuine crises. Bulma shook her head stubbornly, her fingers never pausing their dance across the keyboards. Safe. There is no safe if space-time is collapsing. I need 5 more minutes to complete these readings, or we'll have no idea what we're dealing with. The floor beneath them rippled like water, and for a disorienting moment, Goku saw through it, not to the level below, but to an entirely different place, a strange cityscape of architectural styles he'd never seen. People dressed in odd clothing, and buildings that seemed impossibly tall. Then it was gone, the solid floor returning as if nothing had happened. Did you see that? He whispered. Bulma nodded, her face pale. It's as I feared. Dimensional boundaries are weakening. We're seeing glimpses of somewhere else. Another Earth, maybe, but not our Earth. Another violent tremor shook the building, and this time the ceiling cracked ominously. Goku made an executive decision, wrapping one arm firmly around Bulma's waist while grabbing her laptop with his free hand. Research later. Survival now, he insisted, ignoring her protests as he teleported them back to Capsule Corporation's grounds. They materialized beside Vegeta, who stood protectively near Trunks and Bulma. The Saiyan prince's face was a mask of controlled fury, his default response to threats he didn't understand. The sky above had deteriorated further, now resembling a kaleidoscopic nightmare of fractured realities bleeding into one another. The dimensional barriers are failing, Bulma announced, immediately opening her laptop despite the circumstances. It's not just our universe, I think multiple realities are converging on this point. Why here? Why now? Vegeta demanded. I don't know yet, but Bulma's explanation cut short as a deafening crack split the air. The largest fissure widened dramatically, and someone, plummeted through, trailing crimson energy like a comet. The figure crashed into the far end of the Capsule Corp lawn, carving a smoking furrow through cured grass before coming to rest in a crater 20 feet wide. Stay here, Goku commanded, exchanging a quick glance with Vegeta before both Saiyans shot toward the impact site. The dust hadn't yet settled when Goku reached the crater's edge. Through swirling debris, he made out a human form, a woman with auburn hair wearing unfamiliar red clothing. She lay motionless for only a moment before suddenly gasping awake, her eyes glowing with scarlet energy. She thrust her hands outward defensively, and Goku found himself frozen in place as red tendrils of power wrapped around his body. "Where am I?" she demanded, her accent unlike any Goku had heard before. "What have you done with the others?" Goku didn't struggle against the energy binding him. He could feel it wasn't intended to harm, only restrain. "I'm Goku. You're on Earth. Or at least, my Earth. I think you came through that." He nodded upward toward the fractured sky. The woman followed his gaze, and her concentration faltered. The red energy dissipated as shock registered on her face. "No. It's happening here too." She stumbled to her feet, wincing with pain but refusing to show weakness. "The collapse has spread further than we thought." Vegeta landed beside them, arms crossed, an expression suspicious. "Who are you, and what do you know about this?" The woman straightened, summoning dignity despite her obvious disorientation. "My name is Wanda Maximoff. On my world, they call me the Scarlet Witch." She gestured toward the sky. "This is a multiversal collapse. Different realities breaking down, bleeding into each other. We were trying to stop it. But," her voice faltered, "we failed. Strange, Wong, everyone, they're gone." Bulma approached cautiously, her scientific curiosity overriding fear. "Another Earth with its own heroes," she murmured. "Fascinating. But what caused this convergence?" Before Wanda could answer, another tremor, stronger than any before, shook the ground. This time, the fissure directly above them widened enough to reveal what appeared to be space itself, but not the familiar starscape visible from Earth. This void teemed with colors that hurt to look at, punctuated by imposed Cybele geometries and what appeared to be massive celestial beings moving purposefully through the chaos. "The realm between realms," Wanda whispered, her face ashen. "We shouldn't be able to see it like this. The barriers are nearly gone." Quote, "A golden light suddenly pulsed from the heart of the dimensional tear, so bright that everyone shielded their eyes. When Goku looked again, something was ending, a gleaming metallic object that reflected the chaos around it. It fell much more slowly than Wanda had, almost as if deliberately choosing its landing spot. The object touched down 20 yards away with surprising gentleness, nestling into the grass without impact. Steam rose from the earth around it as frost formed, then immediately melted, nature itself unsure how to react to this intruder from beyond reality. Drawn by instinct he couldn't explain, Goku approached the object while the others called warnings behind him. As he drew closer, he could make out its shape, a gauntlet of gleaming gold metal. Large enough to fit over a human hand. 6 colored stones were embedded in specific positions, gleaming purple, burning red, brilliant blue, glowing yellow, verdant green, and mysterious orange. "Don't touch it," Wanda cried out, genuine terror in her voice. "That's the Infinity Gauntlet. It destroyed half our universe once." But Goku barely heard her. Something about the gauntlet called to him, not in words, but in sensations. Power recognizing power. The same way the first Super Saiyan transformation had felt inevitable when it finally happened, this moment carried the weight of destiny. "Kakarot, for once in your life, be cautious." Vegeta snapped, but remained rooted in place, seemingly unable or unwilling to intervene. Goku knelt beside the gauntlet, studying the stones. Each pulsed with energy unlike anything he'd encountered, not ki, not godly power, but something more fundamental. The power of creation itself, perhaps. He extended his hand, hovering inches above the metal surface. If you put that on, Wanda said, her voice steadier now, everything changes. Forever. Goku looked back at her, then at Bulma, Vegeta, and the children watching from a distance. The sky continued to fracture above them, reality itself coming apart at the seams. I think everything's already changed, he replied simply, and closed his fingers around the gauntlet. The moment metal touched skin, awareness exploded through Goku's consciousness. Every atom in his body resonated with newfound energy as the gauntlet seemed to liquefy, flowing up his arm and reshaping itself to fit his form perfectly. The 6 stones blazed brilliantly, and knowledge poured into his mind, not as words but as fundamental understanding. Space, time, reality, power, mind, soul. The concepts weren't just ideas anymore. They were extensions of himself, aspects he could feel and manipulate as easily as his own ki. The purple stone, space, whispered of distances and dimensions, of folding reality and traversing cosmos in an instant. The green stone, time, showed him moments flowing like rivers, branching possibilities extending endlessly. Each stone contributed its voice to the chorus of power now singing through his veins. Goku. Bulma's voice seemed to come from very far away. He turned toward her, suddenly aware that he was hovering several feet above the ground, golden energy crackling around him. His vision had changed. He could see not just physical forms but the energy patterns comprising them, the timelines extending from each person, the alternate realities where different versions of them existed. I'm okay, he said, surprised to find his voice unchanged despite the transformation occurring within him. It's a lot to process. But I think I can help now. Wanda approached cautiously, crimson energy wreathing her hands defensively. You don't understand what you've done. No mortal should wield all 6 stones. Goku flexed his gauntleted hand, watching Gal Den energy intermingle with his familiar blue ki. You're right. I don't fully understand yet. But I know we need this power to fix what's happening. As if responding to his realization, the largest rift in the sky pulsed ominously. From its depths emerged 3 figures, humanoid but clearly not human, with gray skin and 4 arms each. They descended rapidly, predatory intent evident in their movements. Outriders, Wanda hissed. Thanos' shock troops. They're hunting the gauntlet. Then they found it, Vegeta replied with a grim smile, powering up to Super Saiyan with a flash of golden light. Let's show these invaders how we deal with threats on this earth. The creatures moved with unnatural speed, splitting up to attack from different angles. One lunged directly for Goku, massive clawed hands reaching for the gauntlet. Without thinking, Goku raised his hand, and the space stone flared. The creature suddenly found itself frozen in midair, caught in a localized spatial distortion. Whoa, Goku breathed, examining the effect with fascination. That's new. Meanwhile, Vegeta engaged the second Outrider in a flurry of punches and ki blasts. The creature was surprisingly durable, absorbing hits that would have destroyed most opponents. It countered with surprising strength, catching Vegeta off guard with a strike that sent him crashing through a nearby equipment shed. Third Outrider went for the seemingly easier targets, Bulma and the children. Before it could reach them, crimson energy enveloped its body. Wanda stepped forward, eyes glowing as she telekinetical. Why lifted the creature 20 feet into the air? You're not touching them, she growled, making a twisting motion with her hands. The Outrider contorted unnaturally before being hurled with tremendous force back toward the rift. Goku watched her power with interest, recognizing abilities similar to what he now felt from the Reality Stone. He turned his attention back to the creature he'd immobilized, uncertainty flickering briefly. He'd never killed an opponent when he had other options, but he also couldn't risk releasing something so clearly dangerous. I don't want to destroy you, he told the frozen Outrider. But I can't let you hurt anyone either. Making a decision, he concentrated on the space stone's energy. The creature disappeared with a faint pop, transported to an uninhabited island thousands of miles away. The effort required almost no energy, nothing compared to the strain of instant transmission, yet the precision far exceeded his usual teleportation abilities. Vegeta emerged from the wreckage, bruised but furious. With a roar, he transformed to Super Saiyan Blue, his power level skyrocketing as he unleashed a barrage of energy blasts that finally overwhelmed the second Outrider, reducing it to ash. There will be more, Wanda warned, rejoining them. The Gauntlet emits energy signatures across the multiverse. Every power-hungry being in existence will be drawn to it. She studied Goku with newfound interest. You're handling it better than I expected. On my world, most beings are destroyed by attempting to wield even one Infinity Stone. Goku looked down at the Gauntlet, where the 6 stones pulsed in harmony. It's overwhelming, but familiar somehow. Like when I first accessed God Ki. He concentrated briefly, and the fracture directly above them stabilized. Edges smoothing as reality knit itself back together. I think I can help repair the damage. Be careful, Bulma warned, approaching with a scanner in hand. These energy readings are off the charts. Whatever you're doing affects the fundamental forces of our universe. Another tremor shook the ground as new rifts opened in the distance. Through one, they glimpsed a cityscape bind, decimated by what appeared to be massive mechanical beings. Through another, a peaceful alien landscape with 3 moons hanging impossibly close in the sky. Realities bleeding into one another, boundaries failing. It's accelerating, Wanda said grimly. The initial catalyst must have been incredibly powerful to cause this level of multiversal decay. Vegeta turned to Goku, uncharacteristic uncertainty in his expression. Kakarot, if you have any ideas, now would be the time. Before we're dealing with invasions from 1,000 different realities. Goku closed his eyes, allowing the knowledge flowing from the Infinity Stones to guide him. The Time Stone showed him causality, how this cascade of collapsing realities had begun and where it might lead. The Space Stone revealed the structure of the dimensional barriers. Together, they offered a solution. I need to get to the source, he said, opening his eyes. The point where this all started. I can see it through the stones, a place between universes where something broke. He looked at Wanda. I think it's in your reality, or what's left of it. The nexus of all realities, she whispered. Strange believed it was under attack, but we arrived too late. Goku nodded. I can go there, use the Gauntlet to stabilize things. But I don't know what I'll be facing. I'm coming with you, Vegeta declared, not a request but a statement of fact. Me too, Wanda added. I know what we're dealing with, at least partially. Bulma stepped forward, determination written across her features. While you're gone, I'll monitor things from here. If these rifts keep expanding, we'll need evacuation plans for Earth. She hesitated, then moved closer to Goku, studying the Gauntlet with scientific curiosity mingled with genuine concern. Be careful, we don't fully understand what that thing is or what it might do to you. Goku met her gaze, touched by the worry in her eyes. They'd been friends since childhood, faced countless threats together. This felt different, bigger, more fundamental than previous battles. I'll be back, he promised. This power, it's not corrupting me, if that's what you're worried about. It's just showing me more of what's always been there. A high-pitched whine cut through the air as the largest rift pulsed again, disgorging a massive ship that hovered ominously above West City. Its design was alien to Earth, angular and predatory, bristling with weapons that immediately began targeting the ground below. Q ships, Wanda explained grimly. More of Thanos' forces. They're not just after the Gauntlet now, they're invading. The first barrage of energy weapons struck downtown, sending plumes of smoke rising from shattered buildings. Screams carried even to their distant position. Go, Bulma urged, pushing Goku toward the rift. Fix the source. We'll handle things here. Goku hesitated, torn between immediate threats and the larger problem. But the city, we'll have Gohan, Piccolo, and the others defending it. Vegeta interrupted. Your woman is right. We need to stop this at its origin or there won't be a city, or a planet, left to save. Goku nodded, decision made. He extended his gauntleted hand, and the space stone glowed brilliantly. A portal opened before them, not the familiar circular openings of Dr. Strange's magic, but a rectangular doorway that seemed to cut directly through the fabric of reality itself. Through it, they could see a swirling maelstrom of energy, the space between spaces, where realities connected. At its heart, barely visible through chaotic dimensional currents, stood a massive crystalline structure fractured down its center. Figures moved around it, too distant to identify clearly. The Nexus, Wanda confirmed. And someone's deliberately destroying it. Goku looked back at Bulma one last time. Get somewhere safe. I'll come find you when this is over. Before she could respond, he stepped through the portal with Vegeta and Wanda following closely behind. The sensation was unlike any dimensional transition he'd experienced before, not the instantaneous jump of instant transmission nor the tunnel-like effect of traveling to the otherworld. Instead, it felt like moving through layers of existence itself, each one a complete reality that briefly registered on his senses before giving way to the next. They emerged onto AF. Fragment of land floating in the void, a broken piece of some reality now adrift in the space between dimensions. The crystalline structure loomed before them, hundreds of feet tall, resembling a massive geode split open to reveal multifaceted surfaces that reflected infinite realities within each face. Each reflection showed a different world, a different possibility, some familiar, others completely alien. The Nexus normally exists in perfect balance, Wanda explained, her voice hushed with appropriate awe. It's the linchpin connecting all realities. Damage it, and the multiverse itself begins to unravel. Goku studied the massive crack running through the structure's center, understanding instinctively through the Mind Stone's knowledge that this was the wound bleeding realities together. I think I can repair it with the Gauntlet. The 6 stones together have enough power to do exactly what I need, interrupted a deep voice from behind them. They spun to face a towering figure emerging from behind a floating debris field. Over 8 feet tall with purple-hued skin and golden armor, his massive form radiated power and absolute certainty. Most disturbingly, he smiled at them with genuine pleasure, as if greeting long-lost friends rather than adversaries. Thanos, Wanda whispered, crimson energy immediately flaring around her hands. The Scarlet Witch, the Titan acknowledged with a respectful nod. You survived the collapse of your reality. Impressive. His gaze shifted to Goku, focusing on the Gauntlet. And you, a being from yet another universe, already wielding my Gauntlet. Fascinating. You possess tremendous power even without it. I can sense that much. Vegeta stepped forward aggressively. If you're responsible for this damage. Responsible? Thanos raised an eyebrow. No more than a surgeon is responsible for the incision necessary to heal. The multiverse is broken, has always been broken. Too many contradictory realities, too many paradoxes. He gestured toward the fractured nexus. I'm simply accelerating the inevitable collapse so something better can emerge. Goku studied the Titan, sensing not malice but absolute conviction, perhaps the most dangerous quality in an opponent. You're destroying countless lives in the process. I'm saving countless more, Thanos countered calmly. When the collapse completes, I will use the Gauntlet, my Gauntlet, to reshape what remains into a single, perfect reality. No more conflicting timelines, no more multiversal threats, no more chaos. Just one universe under guiding principles of balance and order. You're insane, Wanda spat. You tried this before in our reality, wiping out half of all life for your twisted vision of balance. Thanos sighed as if disappointed by her lack of understanding. A limited solution for a limited problem. This is far grander in scope and ambition. He extended his hand toward Goku. The Gauntlet, Saiyan, it's wasted on one who doesn't comprehend its true purpose. Goku felt the stones react to Thanos' presence, particularly the Soul Stone, which seemed to recognize him. You've used this power before. But something went wrong, didn't it? A flicker of surprise crossed the Titan's features. You're more perceptive than you appear. Yes, in another reality, what you might call my past, I gathered the stones and achieved my goal. But even universal balance proved temporary. The multiverse itself works against stability, generating new threats, new imbalances. His expression hardened. So I expanded my vision. Why balance one universe when I could perfect all of them? Vegeta snorted derisively. Another megalomaniac who thinks he knows what's best for everyone. We've dealt with plenty of your kind before. I doubt that, Thanos replied evenly. But it doesn't matter. I've planned this moment across multiple realities, manipulated events leading to this precise convergence. He smiled again, genuinely amused. Did you think it coincidence that the Gauntlet appeared precisely when and where you would find it? That the stones called to you specifically? Goku's eyes widened as realization dawned. You wanted me to take it. Why? Because, Saiyan, Few beings can wield the complete gauntlet without being destroyed. You're one of them. Your unique physiology, your experience with godly ki, what shall we call it? Your pure heart. Thanos chuckled. You're the perfect vessel to bring the gauntlet exactly where I need it. Here, at the moment of multiversal collapse, where its power can achieve something truly magnificent. Without warning, Thanos moved with surprising speed for his size, lunging toward Goku with hands outstretched. Vegeta intercepted him with a flying kick that would have shattered mountains, but the Titan barely flinched. Swatting the Saiyan prince aside like an annoying insect, Wanda unleashed a torrent of crimson energy, binding Thanos momentarily as Goku instinctively raised the gauntlet. The Power Stone flared, and a wave of concussive force erupted outward, sending Thanos skidding backward across the floating terrain. Impressive, the Titan acknowledged, brushing dust from his armor. You're adapting to the stone's abilities quickly. But you lack experience and purpose. He raised his hand, revealing a small device pulsing with energy. And I have contingencies. He pressed a control, and the device emitted a wave of energy that washed over the fractured nexus. The crack widened dramatically, reality itself screaming in protest as new rifts tore open all around them. Through these gaps poured dozens of creatures, some resembling the Outriders they'd fought earlier, others more monstrous and alien. Defend the Nexus, Wanda shouted, creating a shield of energy around the crystalline structure. If it shatters completely, everything ends. Vegeta recovered and immediately launched into battle against the incoming horde, his Super Saiyan blue aura flaring brilliantly against the void. Kakarot, use that damned gauntlet for something useful. Goku assessed the situation rapidly, feeling the Time Stone's power showing him probabilities, the Mind Stone calculating strategies. He raised his hand toward the widening crack in the Nexus, concentrating on the Reality and Space Stones simultaneously. Golden energy flowed from the gauntlet into the fracture, temporarily halting its expansion as reality itself began knitting back together under his influence. Thanos observed with apparent satisfaction. Yes, feel the true potential of the stones. Only Tog, Ether can they affect change on this scale. Maintaining the repair effort with one hand, Goku turned to face Thanos. Why are you really doing this? Not your speech about balance, the real reason. Something flickered in the Titan's eyes, pain, perhaps, or memory. Because I've seen the end that awaits all realities if left unchecked. Entities that devour entire universes, cosmic forces that erase existence on a whim. Paradoxes that unravel the very fabric of being. I've witnessed apocalypse across 1,000 timelines. He stepped closer, voice dropping. The multiverse is a failed experiment, Saiyan. It must be consolidated, simplified, brought under rational control. That's not your decision to make, Goku replied, straining to maintain the healing energy flowing into the Nexus will. Simultaneously preparing for Thanos' next move. The Titan smiled sadly. No one else is willing to make it. That's the burden I carry. With frightening suddenness, he lunged again, this time prod. UCING, a double-bladed weapon that gleamed with unearthly energy. Now, the gauntlet. Goku was caught in an impossible position, maintain the healing energy or defend himself. Before he could decide, Wanda appeared between them. Her eyes blazing crimson as she caught the blade bare-handed, reality warping energy canceling out its cutting edge. I've stopped you before, she snarled. I'll do it again. You had help before, Thanos reminded her, driving her backward with sheer physical strength. Your Avengers, your vision, your brother, all gone now. Pain flashed across Wanda's face, but her determination never wavered. I found new allies. As if on cue, Vegeta teleported directly behind Thanos, having dispatched the nearest wave of creatures. Big mistake turning your back on a Saiyan prince. He unleashed his final flash at point-blank range, the energy beam engulfing Thanos completely. When the light faded, Thanos stood unharmed within a spherical energy shield. Impressive power. In the consolidated reality, beings like you will serve valuable purposes. He deactivated the shield and countered with a backhanded blow that sent Vegeta crashing into a floating rock formation. Goku felt the Nexus stabilizing under his influence, the repair taking hold. He redirected his attention to Thanos, allowing all 6 Infinity Stones to activate simultaneously. Power unlike anything he'd ever channeled surged through him, not just energy but fundamental control over the building blocks of existence itself. Time slowed around them as Goku stepped forward, moving at normal speed. While everything else progressed at a fraction of its natural rate. He approached Thanos, studying the Titan with newfound perception granted by the Mind and Soul Stones. He could see not just the physical being but the pattern of thought, the emotional scars, the absolute conviction driving him. "You really believe you're saving everything," Goku said quietly. "Because I am," Thanos replied, somehow able to move normally despite the time dilation. "The stones recognize the truth of my purpose, even if you don't." "Maybe. But there's always another way." Goku raised the gauntlet, golden energy swirling around him as his Saiyan aura began intermingling with the Infinity Stone's power. "I won't let you sacrifice countless lives for your vision." Thanos' expression hardened. "Then we'll do this the difficult way." He tapped another control on his device, and the entire floating landmass shuddered violently. The Nexus pulsed, its partially healed structure straining as new forces acted upon it. From its crystalline faces, energy beams lanced outward, targeting specific points in the surrounding void. Where they struck, reality itself folded inward, creating new rifts that began drawing in matter from multiple dimensions simultaneously. "What have you done?" Wanda demanded, struggling to maintain her footing as gravity fluctuated wildly. "Accelerated the convergence," Thanos answered calmly. "Now thousands of realities will collapse simultaneously, creating the critical mass needed for complete multiversal restructuring." He turned to Goku. "You have perhaps minutes to decide, Saiyan. Join me in creating something better from the chaos, or watch everything you know disappear forever." Goku felt it immediately, connections to his home reality stretching, weakening. Through the Mind Stone's awareness, he sensed Earth itself beginning to merge with other versions of the planet, timelines bleeding together chaotically. He could feel Gohan, Goten, Chi-Chi, all his friends experiencing the impossible as multiple versions of existence overlapped in their perception. And through one of the newly formed rifts, he glimpsed West City, buildings phasing between different architectural styles. People appearing and disappearing as alternate versions of themselves briefly occupied the same space. In the center of the chaos stood Bulma, using some hastily assembled ice to stabilize a small area around Capsule Corporation, her brilliant mind already adapting to the impossible situation. "Your world is just one of millions affected," Thanos said, following his gaze. "All can be saved if you make the right choice." Vegeta staggered back to them, bloody but unbowed. "Don't listen to him, Kakarot. Megalomaniacs always claim necessity for their madness." Wanda nodded agreement. "The convergence can be reversed. The Infinity Stones have the power, I've seen it." Goku closed his eyes, allowing the 6 stones to communicate directly with his consciousness. Each offered perspective, knowledge beyond mortal understanding. The Soul Stone showed him the cost of Thanos' plan, quintillions of individual souls across countless realities, all forced into a single merged existence not of their choosing. The Reality Stone demonstrated how the natural order was being violated, with consequences that would cascade beyond even Thanos' ability to control. When he opened his eyes, they glowed with the combined light of all 6 stones. "You're right about one thing, Thanos. This power can reshape everything." He raised the gauntlet, power building visibly around it. "But not your way." With a gesture, Goku released a wave of energy unlike anything he'd ever produced, not destructive but restorative. The 6 stones sang in harmony as their power flowed outward, targeting the damaged nexus. Where Thanos had created chaos, Goku imposed stability, not by forcing change but by reinforcing what naturally existed. The fractured crystalline structure began healing itself. The massive crack sealing as original connections re-established themselves. The rifts in reality started closing, dimensional boundaries strengthening as the natural order reasserted itself. "No!" Thanos roared, charging toward Goku with unexpected speed. "You don't understand what you're preventing." Vegeta intercepted him again, this time joined by Wanda. Together they managed to slow the Titan's advance. But his strength was overwhelming, fueled by desperate conviction. Goku maintained his focus on the Nexus, unable to divide his attention without risking the healing process. "Vegeta, Wanda, I need more time." "Working on it." Vegeta grunted, transforming to his highest state, blue hair tinged with crimson as he pushed his godly ki to its limits. Wanda encased Thanos' legs in crimson energy. temporarily immobilizing him while Vegeta launched a barrage of attacks against his upper body. The Titan weathered the assault, his expression shifting from anger to grim determination. "Enough games," he growled, producing another device from his armor. "If I can't have the gauntlet now, I'll settle for eliminating the competition." He activated the device, and a target energy pulse shot toward Goku, not harmful but disruptive, specifically calibrated to interfere with the gauntlet's functions. Goku felt the connection between the stones temporarily weaken, the air process faltering as the nexus began cracking again. In that moment of vulnerability, Thanos broke free from Wanda's restraints and lunged for the gauntlet. His massive hand closed around Goku's wrist, technological enhancements in his armor allowing him to neutralize the stone's defensive capabilities. "You had your chance," the Titan said, gradually forcing Goku's arm down despite the Saiyan's incredible strength. "Now I'll complete this myself." Goku struggled against the Titan's grip, surprised by the sheer physical power Thanos possessed even without the gauntlet. He channeled his ki into his arm, transforming to Super Saiyan Blue, but Thanos' grip remained unbroken. "The stones want to be used for their true purpose," Thanos continued, his fingers inching closer to the gauntlet. "They recognize my vision as necessary." Through their physical connection, Goku suddenly received a flash of insight from the Soul Stone, a glimpse into Thanos' history across multiple realities. He saw the Titan's homeworld dying, his desperate proposal rejected, the pain of watching civilization after civilization follow the same self-destructive patterns. Most disturbingly, he witnessed Thanos' previous victory using the gauntlet in another reality, the snap that eliminated half of all life, and the emptiness that followed when that sacrifice proved insufficient. "You've tried this before," Goku said, still struggling but now with understanding in his eyes. "And it didn't bring you peace." Something flickered in Thanos' expression, not doubt, but perhaps recognition. "Peace was never the goal. Survival is. There's always another way," Goku insisted. "One that doesn't require sacrificing others." For a brief moment, Thanos hesitated, perhaps seeing in Goku's eyes the same unflagging optimism that had defined heroes in his own reality, heroes he had ultimately defeated but never completely understood. That moment was enough. Wanda reappeared behind Thanos, her hands pressed to his temples as crimson energy flowed directly into his mind. The Titan roared in pain, momentarily releasing his grip on Goku's arm. "Now, Goku," she shouted, "finish the repair." Freed from Thanos' grasp, Goku immediately redirected the gauntlet's power toward the Nexus. All 6 stones blazed simultaneously, their energies perfectly harmonized as he instinctively understood how to use them in concert. The crystalline structure responded immediately, the remaining fractures sealing as dimensional stability began returning to the multiverse. Thanos broke free from Wanda's mental assault with a backhanded blow that sent her flying. He turned back toward Goku, fury and desperation evident in his expression. "You doom countless realities to eventual destruction. The multiverse cannot sustain itself indefinitely." "Maybe not," Goku acknowledged, maintaining the healing energy flow. "But that's a problem for another day. Right now, everyone deserves a chance to live their own lives in their own realities." The Titan charged again, but this time Vegeta was ready. The Saiyan Prince intercepted him with his most powerful attack. Final Flash evolved to incorporate godly ki. A beam of destructive energy that momentarily halted even Thanos' advance. "Kakarot, whatever you're doing, finish it," Vegeta shouted, visibly straining to maintain the attack. Goku nodded, channeling everything he had into the gauntlet. The Infinity Stones responded, their power magnified by his inherent ki control and amplified further by his Super Saiyan Blue transformation. Golden energy wrapped around the entire Nexus, completing the restoration process as reality itself stabilized. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Throughout the void, rifts began closing one by one, realities separating back into their natural configurations. The floating debris reassembled into proper structures, and gravity stabilized across the dimensional interface. Thanos witnessed this reversal with a mix of rage and disbelief. "No, you can't understand what you're preventing." With a final desperate effort, he broke through Vegeta's attack and lunged for Goku, hands reaching for the gauntlet. Goku made a split-second decision. Rather than fight, He activated the Space Stone, opening a portal directly behind Thanos. Before the Titan could react, Wanda hit him with a telekinetic push that sent him stumbling backward through the opening. Goku immediately closed it, sending Thanos back to whatever reality he'd originated from. "He'll return," Wanda warned, breathing heavily from exertion. "He always does." "Maybe," Goku acknowledged. "But we'll be ready." The last of the major rifts sealed as the Nexus completed its self-repair. The crystalline structure now pulsed with healthy energy. Dimensional boundaries restored to their proper functions. Through a remaining small opening, they could see Earth, their Earth, returning to normal as alternate realities separated from it. "We should go back," Vegeta said, powering down from his transformed state. "Before we're trapped here." Goku nodded, then turned to Wanda. "Your reality, I can feel it's still there, but damaged. I think I can help you get home. If that's what you want." Wanda stared through one of the diminishing rifts, catching glimpses of her world rebuilding itself. "I'm not sure what's left for me there. Everyone I fought alongside." She trailed off, then straightened with new resolve. "But if Thanos returns, they'll need warning. Someone who understands what he's capable of." "Then let's get you home," Goku said, raising the gauntleted hand. The Space Stone glowed as he prepared to open a portal to her reality. "Wait," she said, studying him with newfound respect. "The gauntlet belongs to your universe now. It chose you for a reason. But be careful, that kind of power changes people, even those with the best intentions." Goku looked down at the 6 stones, still pulsing with energy but now seeming more in harmony with his own ki. "I can feel that. It's tempting to think of all the things I could fix or change." He smiled, the familiar carefree expression returning to his face. "But that's not really my style. I prefer earning victories the old-fashioned way." "You might not have a choice," Wanda warned. "The gauntlet attracts threats, and there are beings in the multiverse far worse than Thanos." Vegeta scoffed. "Bring them on. Saiyans grow stronger with every battle." Goku laughed, the sound surprisingly normal given the cosmic circumstances. "Some things never change, huh Vegeta?" He turned back to Wanda. "Ready to go home?" She nodded, casting one last glance at the healed Nexus. "For now, but something tells me our paths will cross again." Goku opened a portal to her reality. A swirling gateway that showed a damaged but recovering New York skyline. Wanda approached it, then paused and looked back at him. "Thank you," she said simply. Not many could resist the temptation of that power. "Thanks for your help," Goku replied with genuine warmth. "Maybe next time we can spar a little. Your abilities are amazing." She smiled at his enthusiasm despite everything they'd just experienced. "I'd like that." With a final nod to both Saiyans, she stepped through the portal, crimson energy trailing behind her as the opening sealed. "Typical Kakarot," Vegeta muttered. "Faced with multiversal collapse and you're thinking about sparring. Hey, we learn from every fight, right?" Goku grinned, then grew more serious as he created another portal, this one leading back to Capsule Corporation. "Come on." Bulma's probably worried sick. As they stepped through the portal, returning to their own reality, Goku felt the Infinity Stones pulse once more in harmony. Though the immediate crisis had passed, he sensed this was just the beginning of something much larger. The Gauntlet had chosen him for a reason, and whatever that reason was, he suspected it would lead to challenges unlike any he'd faced before. For now, though, Earth was safe. The multiverse continued its complex dance of infinite possibilities. And Son Goku, the universe's most powerful martial artist, had added 6 extraordinary new tools to his arsenal. The real question was, what would he do with them next? Chapter 1 End Chapter 2, Power Beyond Understanding. The gauntlet weighed nothing on Goku's arm as he stepped through the portal back to Earth, yet somehow felt heavier than any burden he'd ever carried. The 6 gems pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, a disquieting sensati. On that reminded him constantly of their presence. Behind him, Vegeta emerged with arms crossed, his expression caught between relief and suspicion as the portal sealed with a whisper of displaced air. Capsule Corporation's sprawling lawn materialized around them, though not exactly as they'd left it. Reality had mostly reasserted itself, but aftereffects of the dimensional convergence lingered like heat distortions on summer pavement. Occasional flickers revealed ghostly overlays of what might have been, alternate versions of the same location briefly superimposed before fading back into possibility. Fascinating, Bulma breathed, approaching with scientific instruments already scanning the area. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, evidence of the crisis she'd weathered in their absence. E-dimensional separation isn't quite complete. We're seeing echoes of alternate timelines. Goku flexed his gauntleted hand, feeling the space stone respond to his thoughts. I can fix that, he offered, raising his arm toward the nearest distortion. Wait, Bulma grabbed his wrist, her touch surprisingly warm against his skin. Let's understand what's happening first. Your new accessory is powerful enough to reshape reality. We should be careful about how we use it. Her fingers lingered on his arm longer than strictly necessary, her scientific curiosity visibly warring with personal concern. The contact sparked something unexpected. Through the soul stone, Goku suddenly perceived emotional layers he'd always been oblivious to. Bulma's fierce protectiveness, her intellectual fascination, and beneath it all, a complex affection she'd buried so deeply even she rarely acknowledged it. He gently withdrew his arm, unsettled by this new awareness. You're right, I don't fully understand these powers yet. Vegeta snorted, brushing debris from his battle suit. For once, Kakarot shows restraint. Perhaps the end times truly are upon us. What happened at the Nexus? Bulma asked, leading them toward the main Capsule Corp building where emergency equipment had been hastily assembled. Monitors displayed readings from around the globe, most showing steadily decreasing anomaly levels. The rifts started closing about 20 minutes ago. We confronted the being responsible, Vegeta answered before Goku could. Thanos, a delusional titan who believed destroying the multiverse was somehow saving it. Not delusional, Goku corrected quietly. He'd seen something that scared him enough to think his way was the only solution. He stared at the gauntlet, memoir. Eyes of Thanos' vision still fresh in his mind. There are things out there, Bulma. Things that make Beerus look like a kitten. The scientist's eyes widened as she processed this information. And, now you're wearing the cosmic equivalent of a target on your arm. Wonderful. Inside the building's largest laboratory, organized chaos reigned. Equipment had been repurposed for crisis monitoring, Several of Bulma's assistants worked frantically at various stations. On the central monitor, a global map displayed fading hotspots where dimensional boundaries remained weakest. The good news is we're stabilizing, Bulma explained, gesturing toward the displays. Whatever you did at the Nexus is cascading through our reality, strengthening dimensional barriers. She pointed to one persistent red blob over Northern Europe. But we still have problem areas. This one's particularly concerning. The boundary is thin enough that matter is still transferring between realities. Goku studied the map, the Mind Stone automatically enhancing his comprehension of the complex data. People are crossing over, and things, Bulma confirmed grimly. Reports mention creatures never seen on Earth. Some humanoid, others, not so much. Vegeta stepped forward, arms still crossed but attention fully engaged. We should investigate. If hostiles are coming through. A new voice interrupted from the doorway. Already on it. Gohan and Piccolo are handling the European anomaly. Krillin and 18 took the one in Australia. They turned to find a woman who both was and wasn't Chi-Chi leaning against the doorframe. Her hair was pulled back in the familiar bun, but there the similarities largely ended. This Chi-Chi wore fitted battle armor reminiscent of Saiyan design but modified for human proportions. A long scar traced her left jawline, and her posture radiated combat readiness rather than domestic authority. Chi-Chi, Goku whispered, the reality stone immediately confirming what his eyes couldn't quite process. This was indeed Chi-Chi, but not his Chi-Chi. A variant from another timeline who had made fundamentally different choices. Not yours, she replied with a knowing half-smile. I come from what you might call Earth 1138. In my reality, I never gave up fighting. Her eyes flicked to the gauntlet, recognition and wariness mingling in her expression. When the barriers between worlds started failing, I was leading a defense force against a Red Ribbon Army resurgence. Then suddenly I was here, watching alternate versions of my friends battle creatures from a dozen different realities. Vegeta studied her with barely concealed interest. Your power level is unexpected. Where I come from, I had to keep up with Saiyans, she answered simply, then turned back to Goku. You're wearing it. It wasn't a question. In my timeline, the Infinity Gauntlet destroyed an entire galaxy before it was contained. The casual revelation sent a chill through the room. Bulma stepped closer to Goku, unconsciously protective. This gauntlet can destroy galaxies. And create them, the alternate Chi-Chi confirmed. Among other things, she pushed off from the doorframe and approached Goku. Her warrior's gait both familiar and foreign. May I? After a moment's hesitation, Goku extended his gauntleted arm. Chi-Chi examined it without touching, her eyes reflecting the stone's multicolored light. 6 stones: time, space, reality, power, mind, and soul. She looked up, meeting his gaze directly. Complete set. In my world, that kind of power drove men mad. Good thing Kakarot was already insane, Vegeta remarked dryly. Unexpectedly, Warrior Chi-Chi laughed, a warm, genuine sound that momentarily transported Goku back to simpler days. Some things never change across timelines, I see. Bulma cleared her throat, visibly processing this new arrival. We need to focus. The dimensional barriers are stabilizing, but we don't know if that's permanent. Goku, can you sense anything through the stones? He closed his eyes, allowing the 6 Infinity Stones to extend his awareness beyond normal perception. The Space Stone showed him the weakened areas across Earth where reality remained thin. The Time Stone revealed how these anomalies were gradually healing, timelines reasserting their natural separation. Most importantly, the Mind Stone helped him comprehend these complex extra-dimensional concepts that would normally be beyond his understanding. It's working, he confirmed, opening his eyes. The barriers are strengthening on their own. But, he frowned, detecting something through the Soul Stone's unique perception. People who crossed over aren't returning automatically. They're staying where they landed. That tracks with my situation, Warrior Chi-Chi confirmed. I've been here nearly 6 hours with no sign of being pulled back to my timeline. Bulma's scientific mind immediately grasped the implications. So we have potentially hundreds, maybe thousands of dimensional refugees across the planet. Some human, some definitely not. She turned to her computer, fingers flying across the keyboard. We need a system to identify and track interdimensional visitors. Some may be dangerous, others just lost and confused. I can help with that, Goku said, the Mind Stone flaring briefly as inspiration struck. The gauntlet can identify anything not native to our reality. Careful, Kakarot, Vegeta warned. You've had that power for less than a day. Even you must realize the danger of using it recklessly. I'm not being reckless, Goku protested. I'm just saying I can sense. His words cut off as the reality stone suddenly pulsed with urgent energy. Through it, he perceived a massive dimensional disturbance forming directly above West City, not a residual anomaly. But something new, something deliberate. We've got company, he announced, already moving toward the exit. Big energy signature appearing over downtown. EY rushed outside just as the sky split open once more. Unlike the chaotic fractures from before, this portal was perfectly circular, its edges crystalline and deliberate. Through it descended alone. Figure surrounded by swirling emerald energy, humanoid but clearly not human, with red gold skin and a perfectly bald head. An elaborate cloak billowed around him despite the absence of wind, and ancient symbols adorned his ornate armor. Who the hell is that? Vegeta demanded, immediately shifting into a combat stance. Adam Warlock, Warrior Chi-Chi breathed beside them. In my reality, he's a guardian of the Soul Stone. The being touched down 30 yards away, his feet never quite making contact with the earth. Eyes that held the wisdom of millennia surveyed them calmly before settling on Goku's gauntleted arm. So the rumors spreading across the multiverse are true, he said, his voice resonating with harmonic undertones. A Saiyan wields the Infinity Gauntlet. Fascinating. He inclined his head in a gesture somewhere between greeting and assessment. I am Adam Warlock, and I've come a very long way to meet you, Son Goku. Goku stepped forward, instinctively placing himself between the newcomer and his friends. You know who I am. The ripples of your actions have spread far beyond this dimension, Adam replied. Thanos' attempt to collapse the multiverse failed because of you. That makes you either the savior of countless realities, or potentially their greatest threat. He's neither, Bulma interjected, moving to stand beside Goku. He's just Goku. He did what needed doing, like always. Adam's lips curved in the ghost of a smile. Loyalty. A commendable trait, though often blinding. His gaze returned to Goku. The Infinity Stones are not meant to be used casually. Especially not all 6 together. Their power transcends mortal comprehension. Even cosmic entities approach them with caution. I didn't exactly have a choice, Goku replied, keeping his tone respectful but firm. The gauntlet appeared when we needed it, and using it was the only way to stop the collapse. Indeed, a convenient appearance, wouldn't you say? Adam floated closer, his movement unnaturally smooth. The Infinity Gauntlet is not an object that simply appears. It was sent to you, specifically. The question is, by whom, and to what purpose? The question hung in the air, uncomfortably resonant with Thanos' earlier claims. Goku felt the stone's pulse against his skin, responding to his unease. You said you're a guardian of the Soul Stone in another reality, Warrior Chi-Chi spoke up. Are you here to take it back? Adam shook his head, golden eyes never leaving Goku. No, the stones choose their wielders for reasons beyond even my understanding. I am here to observe, and perhaps to guide. He gestured toward the gauntlet. May I? After a moment's consideration, Goku extended his arm. Adam's fingers hovered inches away, not touching but seeming to read the energy emanating from the stones. His expression shifted subtly, surprise, then something like respect. Remarkable. The stones have already begun adapting to your unique energy signature. Why, our ki, as you call it, resonates with them in ways I've never witnessed. He withdrew his hand, looking genuinely intrigued. You've used godly energy before. Super Saiyan God, Goku confirmed. And Ultra Instinct. Ah, that explains much. Adam clasped his hands behind his back, considering. The Infinity Stones respond differently to different wielders. In Thanos' hands, they were tools of destruction and reconstitution. In yours, he studied Goku thoughtfully, I suspect they will manifest differently. Already the gauntlet is changing to accommodate your nature. Bulma stepped closer, scientific curiosity overwhelming caution. What do you mean, changing? Look, Adam directed, pointing to where the gauntlet met Goku's wrist. They all saw it then, subtle but undeniable. The Gold metal had begun shifting color where it contacted Goku's skin, taking on a bluish hue reminiscent of his Super Saiyan blue aura. Tiny lines like circuitry spread upward from the transformation point, carrying the color change gradually throughout the gauntlet. It's adapting to his ki, Bulma realized, already scanning the phenomenon with a handheld device. Incredible. The molecular structure is reconfiguring itself. More than that, Adam corrected. The gauntlet exists simultaneously as matter and energy, concept and object. It's reinterpreting itself according to its wielder's fundamental nature. He turned back to Goku. You are a warrior above all else, one who seeks greater challenges and transformations. The gauntlet is becoming what you need it to be. Goku flexed his fingers, feeling the gauntlet respond more fluidly than before. It does feel more natural now, less foreign. That may be cause for concern rather than celebration, Adam cautioned. The easier it becomes to use, the more tempting its power will be. You don't know Kakarot very well, Vegeta interjected with a snort. His problem isn't being tempted by power, it's knowing when to actually use it. Instead of holding back for the sake of a good fight. Adam studied Vegeta with newfound interest. The Saiyan Prince, your timeline diverged significantly from others I've observed. In most realities, your pride consumes you. Who says it hasn't? Vegeta retorted, though without his usual venom. The fact that you stand here as ally rather than enemy tells its own story, Adam replied simply, then returned his attention to Goku. You must learn to control the stones before they control you. Each has its own consciousness, its own desires. Together, they can overwhelm even the strongest will. Goku nodded, taking the warning seriously. I can feel that. They're alive, in a way. Especially this one. He indicated the Amber Soul Stone. It shows me things about people, things I'd never notice on my own. The Soul Stone is perhaps the most dangerous of all, Adam confirmed. It reveals truths many are not prepared to face, about others and about oneself. His expression softened marginally. I will remain on your Earth for a time. There is much you should understand about what you now wield, and the threats it will inevitably attract. More threats. Bulma sighed. Of course. Because we don't have enough of those already. Adam's lips twitched in what might have been amusement. The multiverse abhors a power vacuum. Drive. Briefs. When Thanos was defeated, many who had hidden from his shadow began to stir. When they sense the Infinity Gauntlet has found a new wielder, one without experience in its use, they will come. Let them, Vegeta declared with typical Saiyan confidence. We've faced gods and destroyed them. Not like these, Warrior Chi-Chi warned, her expression grim. In my reality, we called them Beyonders. Entities that exist outside normal space-time. They nearly destroyed everything before they were finally repelled. Adam nodded approval at her knowledge. Your timeline must have advanced further along certain paths than this one. Yes, the Beyonders are but one of many cosmic threats that will take interest in the Gauntlet's new wielder. He turned back to Goku. Which is why you must learn quickly. The stones can be your greatest weapon or your greatest vulnerability. I'm a fast learner, Goku replied with characteristic optimism. Especially when it comes to fighting. This is not merely about combat, Adam cautioned. The Infinity Stones represent fundamental aspects of existence itself. Using them is more akin to negotiation than command. They will test you, challenge your core beliefs, offer you everything you've ever desired to see if you are worthy of their power. The serious conversation was interrupted by a chime from inside the lab. Bulma hurried back to her computer, checking the alert. We've got multiple reports of new anomalies forming, different from the dimensional rifts. These are more like targeted incursions. She pulled up satellite imagery showing 3 distinct disturbances, one in the Arctic Circle, one in Egypt's western desert, and one in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Unlike the chaotic tiers from before, these were perfect circles of energy, pulsing with deliberate purpose. Someone's coming through, Goku said. The space stone providing instant comprehension. Multiple someones, at coordinated points around the planet. Adam moved to examine the displays, his expression darkening. Faster than I anticipated. The word has spread already. Word of what? Vegeta demanded. That the Infinity Gauntlet has found a new wielder. These are not random incursions, they're scouting parties. Advance forces gathering intelligence before their masters commit to direct confrontation. Warrior Chi-Chi was already checking the weapons secured at her hips, devices Goku didn't recognize. But that hummed with significant energy. How many hostiles are we talking about? Impossible to say, Adam replied. But based on these energy signatures, he pointed to specific readings on Bulma's monitors. At least one comes from the negative zone. Another bears the distinct pattern of the quantum realm. The third, he frowned, is unfamiliar even to me. Great, Bulma muttered. Just what we needed. Multiversal mystery guests. Goku studied the readings, the Mind Stone translating complex data into intuitive understanding. I should investigate. With the gauntlet, I can trave L to all 3 locations almost instantly. And make yourself a target for whoever's coming through, Vegeta countered. Use your head for once, Kakarot. These incursions are clearly bait. The prince is correct, Adam agreed. They seek to draw you out, assess your capabilities with the gauntlet. Better to send others to reconnoiter while you focus on mastering the stone's powers. Warrior Chi-Chi stepped forward, checking her equipment with practiced efficiency. I'll take the Egypt location. I've dealt with extra-dimensional incursions before. Not alone, Vegeta declared, surprising everyone. I'll accompany you. Kakarot isn't the only one who enjoys a good fight. The alternate Chi-Chi raised an eyebrow but nodded acceptance. Fine. 2 is better tactical coverage than 1. Quote, I can alert Gohan and Piccolo to investigate the Arctic site, Bulma offered, already sending the communication. But the Pacific location is the middle of nowhere. We'd need. I'll handle it, came a new voice from the doorway. They turned to find Android 18 leaning casually against the frame, arms crossed in her typical pose of studied indifference. But this wasn't quite the 18 they knew. Her hair was longer, pulled back in a practical ponytail, and a thin scar traced her right cheekbone. Like Warrior Chi-Chi, she was another dimensional variant caught in the convergence. Another visitor from a different timeline? Bulma asked, quickly assessing the differences. Future timeline, 18 corrected. One where we actually managed to defeat the androids before they destroyed everything. Her cool gaze swept over the assembled group before settling on the gauntlet. So that's the thing causing all the trouble. Figures it would end up with Goku. Despite the serious situation, Goku couldn't help grinning. Nice to see you too, 18. Or, future 18, I guess. She ignored the greeting, addressing the tactical situation instead. The Pacific anomaly is forming over deep ocean. You'll need someone who doesn't require oxygen and can withstand extreme pressure. That's me. She glanced at Adam. Unless Golden Boy here wants to volunteer. Adam's expression remained impassive at the jab. My abilities would be better utilized helping Son Goku understand the Gauntlet's potential. But your assessment is correct. Your cybernetic enhancements make you uniquely suited for deep ocean reconnaissance. It's settled then, Bulma declared, bringing up detailed geographic information for each team. Vegeta and alternate Chi-Chi will investigate Egypt. Gohan and Piccolo are already en route to the Arctic. 18 will handle the Pacific anomaly. She turned to Goku. While you stay here and get a crash course in Infinity Stones 101. Goku frowned, uncomfortable with others facing potential danger while he remained behind. I should be out there helping. If these incursions are because of the Gauntlet, that makes them my responsibility. Your responsibility is to master that power before you accidentally unmake reality, Adam countered firmly. The Gauntlet responds to thought and emotion, both of which tend to intensify in combat situations. Until you have proper control, engaging directly would be unwise. He's right, Bulma added, her hand resting briefly on Goku's arm. For once, let others handle the front lines while you prepare for the bigger fight we all know is coming. Warrior Chi-Chi nodded agreement. In my timeline, premature use of the Gauntlet against the Beyonders cost millions of lives. Take the time to learn what you're wielding, Goku. The consensus left him little choice. Goku reluctantly nodded, though everything in his Saiyan nature rebelled against staying behind while others fought. Fine, but I want constant updates, and if anyone gets in trouble, I'm coming, trained or not. Wouldn't expect anything less, future 18 remarked dryly. Now, if we're done talking, some of us have interdimensional invaders to greet. She pushed off from the doorframe and headed for the exit. Vegeta turned to Warrior Chi-Chi. We'll take my ship to Egypt. Faster than commercial transportation. She nodded briskly. Let's go. To Goku, she added. Try not to destroy the universe while we're gone. As the teams departed for their respective missions, Goku found himself alone with Bulma and Adam Warlock in the suddenly quiet laboratory. The HT of the Gauntlet seemed to increase with his awareness of its importance, the 6 stones pulsing gently against his skin. So, he said to Adam, forcing lightness into his tone, where do we start? The cosmic being considered him thoughtfully. First, you must understand what each stone truly represents. They are not merely tools or weapons, but fundamental aspects of existence itself. He steered toward a clear area of the laboratory. Perhaps a demonstration would be most effective. Doctor, briefs, might we use this space? Bulma hesitated only briefly before nodding. Just try not to destroy my equipment. Some of it's irreplaceable. I shall endeavor to contain the cosmic forces to a reasonable radius, Adam replied with what might have been dry humor. He turned to Goku. The Gauntlet allows you to use each stone individually or in concert. For now, focus on one at a time. Begin with the Power Stone. It should resonate most naturally with your warrior nature. Goku looked down at the purple gem embedded in the Gauntlet's knuckle. Even without actively channeling it, he could feel the raw energy contained within, like a star compressed to the size of a marble, straining against its boundaries. Focus your consciousness on it alone, Adam instructed. Will it to activate, but maintain control. Think of it like focusing your ki, but instead of drawing from within, your si. Handling external power through your own spirit. Following the guidance, Goku concentrated on the Power Stone. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Purple energy erupted from the gem, engulfing his arm and spreading rapidly across his body. Raw power unlike anything he'd experienced before surged through him, magnifying his already formidable strength exponentially. The laboratory floor cracked beneath his feet as his aura expanded, purple intermingling with his natural blue ki. Control it, Adam commanded sharply. The Power Stone responds to will. Impose yours upon it. Gritting his teeth, Goku fought to contain the cascading energy. It wasn't like managing ki. This power had its own intelligence, its own desire to expand and consume. Through sheer determination, he gradually brought it under control. condensing the purple aura until it surrounded him in a thin, stable layer. Impressive, Adam acknowledged. Most beings would have been obliterated by that much unfiltered power. Bulma monitored readings from a safe distance, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding concern. His energy output just increased by a factor of 20, and that's a conservative estimate. The Power Stone is amplifying his natural abilities. More than amplifying, Adam corrected. It grants fundamental access to the energy that permeates all existence. In the wrong hands, it could destroy a planet with a thought. In the right hands, he nodded toward Goku, it can be channeled precisely. To demonstrate, Goku extended one finger and directed a minute portion of the Power Stone's energy toward an empty metal container on a nearby counter. A thin purple beam struck it, and the container didn't just melt or disintegrate, it simply ceased to exist, converted entirely to energy that dissipated harmlessly into the air. Okay, that's terrifying, Bulma commented, eyeing the space where her equipment had been. Please tell me the other stones are less apocalyptic. Each has its own dangers. Adam replied. The Power Stone is merely the most direct. He turned back to Goku. Now, release it and we'll move to the Space Stone. With conscious effort, Goku deactivated the Power Stone. The purple energy reluctantly receding back into the gem. He took a deep breath, surprised by how natural the process already felt, like learning a new key technique that somehow his body already understood. The Space Stone, Adam continued, indicating the blue gem, grants control over distance, location, and the fabric of space itself. Your instant transmission technique manipulates similar principles, but in a far more limited fashion. Focusing on the blue stone, Goku felt a different kind of energy respond, cool and fluid where the Power Stone had been hot and violent. Blue light emanated from the gem, spreading through the gauntlet's newly formed circuitry patterns. Unlike the explosive reaction of the Power Stone, this energy moved with deliberate precision, reading a lattice-like aura around him that revealed the underlying structure of space itself. Remarkable, he whispered, suddenly perceiving distance as a concept rather than a physical reality. He could see the connections between points in space, the shortcuts through dimensions that made teleportation possible. With barely a thought, he opened a small portal beside him, not to travel through, but simply because he could now perceive exactly how reality folded to make such connections possible. Your natural affinity for spatial manipulation enhances the stone's power, Adam observed. Try something more complex. Goku extended his awareness outward, beyond the laboratory, beyond Capsule Corporation, expanding his perception across the entire planet. He could feel every location simultaneously, from the deepest ocean trenches to the highest mountaintops. With a casual gesture, he opened 3 small viewing portals in the air before them, each showing one of the anomaly sites in Pei RFECT real-time detail despite being thousands of miles away. Through the first portal, they watched Vegeta and warrior Chi-Chi approaching the Egyptian anomaly, which hovered like a shimmering disk above ancient ruins. Through the second, Gohan and Piccolo stood guard at the Arctic site, where the portal had already begun disgorging strange crystalline structures onto the ice. The third showed Future 18 diving deep into the Pacific, approaching an underwater anomaly that pulsed with eerie green light. That's convenient, Bulma remarked, immediately focusing on the scientific implications. Perfect real-time observation without satellites or transmission delays. Distance is largely illusory, Adam explained. The Space Stone reveals this truth and allows its wielder to manipulate it accordingly. Goku maintained the viewing portals with minimal effort, the process already becoming intuitive. I could teleport to any of these locations instantly. Not like instant transmission where I need to sense energy, I can just go there, because I can see how spaces connect. Indeed, but maintaining observation for now is wiser than intervention, Adam advised. Let's continue with the Reality Stone. It may be the most complex of all. Deactivating the Space Stone while keeping the viewing portals intact, Goku turned his attention to the red gem. This one responded differently. Instead of projecting energy outward, it seemed to pull inward, creating a lens through which he suddenly perceived multiple layers of existence simultaneously. The laboratory remained as it was, he could also see what it might have been in alternate timelines, what it had been in the past, what it could become in potential futures. Whoa, he breathed, watching as phantom images overlapped with physical reality. It's showing me everything. The reality stone reveals the malleable nature of what we perceive as fixed, Adam explained. It doesn't just show alternate possibilities, it allows you to make them manifest. To demonstrate, Goku concentrated on a broken beaker on Bulma's counter. With a thought channeled through the reality stone, the shattered glass reformed instantly. Molecular structure rewinding to its undamaged state. But he didn't stop there. With another thought, he transformed the glass to crystal, then to diamond, then back to simple glass again. Molecular reconstruction, Bulma whispered, scanning the beaker with wide eyes. Perfect at the quantum level. That should be impossible. The stone doesn't reconstruct, it redefines, Adam corrected. What we perceive as unchangeable physical laws are merely consensus reality to the stone. It can locally or globally rewrite those laws according to the wielder's will. The implications sent a chill down Goku's spine. That's too much power for anyone to have. And yet, here we are, Adam replied evenly. The responsibility is yours now, whether you wish it or not. Through the viewing portals, they suddenly noticed activity intensifying at all three anomaly sites. In Egypt, the portal had widened enough for a single figure to step through, humanoid but with blue skin and wearing ornate armor that seemed to shift colors as it moved. Vegeta and warrior Chi-Chi immediately took defensive positions, though they hadn't yet engaged. In the Arctic, multiple crystalline entities had emerged, forming what appeared to be a communication array on the ice. Gohan and Piccolo maintained distance, observing but not interfering as the strange structures organized themselves into increasingly complex patterns. Most concerning was the Pacific site, where the underwater portal had disgorged what appeared to be a massive sea creature, part mechanical, part biological, with tentacles extending hundreds of feet in all directions. Future 18 hovered at a safe distance, analyzing the entity as it continued to emerge. They're testing boundaries, Adam observed grimly. Sending Advance Fork S to assess resistance and gather intelligence. Bulma moved closer to the portals, concern evident in her expression. Should we recall the teams? If these are just preliminary forces? No, Goku decided, studying each situation carefully. They're handling it. We need information just as much as these visitors do. He frowned at the oceanic creature. But that one looks potentially dangerous. I'm going to check on 18. Before Adam could object, Goku had already channeled the space stone, creating a portal directly to the Pacific location. I'll be right back, he promised, stepping through before either could respond. The transition was instantaneous. Laboratory air replaced by crushing ocean pressure nearly 3 miles down. The gauntlet automatically protected him, creating a bubble of normalized pressure and providing oxygen without him consciously directing it to do so. The reality stone activated simultaneously, adapting his vision to the near-total darkness of the deep ocean. Future 18 turned sharply at his arrival, surprise briefly breaking through her typically impassive expression. "Showing off your new toys?" she asked dryly, voice somehow carrying perfectly through. The water, another automatic function of the gauntlet. "Just checking in," Goku replied, studying the massive entity now fully emerged from the portal. Up close, it was even more impressive, a hybrid creature at least 500 feet across, with a central body resembling a translucent brain surrounded by metallic exoskeleton. Dozens of tentacles, both mechanical and organic, extended outward, ending in what appeared to be sensory apparatus, others in obvious weapons. "It hasn't attacked," 18 reported clinically. "Appears to be gathering data. The mechanical components are far beyond Earth technology, quantum processing. By my analysis, biological components show no DNA matching known Earth species." Goku nodded, impressed by her detailed assessment. "Have you tried communicating with it?" "It hasn't tried communicating with me," she replied with a shrug. "Seems content to ignore my presence while it does whatever it's doing." As if triggered by their conversation, several tentacles suddenly swiveled in their direction, sensory appendages focusing on Goku, or more specifically, on the gauntlet. A low-frequency vibration pulsed through the water, creating patterns that the Mind Stone instantly translated for him. "It's scanning the gauntlet," he realized aloud. "And communicating. It's asking what we are." 18 raised an eyebrow. "You can understand that?" Goku nodded. the Mind Stone continuing to translate the complex vibrational language. It calls itself a harvester. It collects information for something called the amalgamation. The translation isn't perfect. The creature's tentacles moved in more complex patterns, generating new vibrational sequences. Through the Mind Stone, Goku perceived meaning, curiosity, assessment, and underlying that, preparation. It's evaluating threat levels. He translated grimly, specifically, how dangerous the gauntlet would be to its masters. And what conclusion is it reaching? 18 asked, subtly shifting into a combat stance. Before Goku could answer, multiple tentacles suddenly discharged energy weapons, not aimed at them, but at the ocean floor around them. The blasts kicked up massive clouds of sediment, creating a visibility barrier as additional tentacles swept toward them with surprising speed. 18 reacted instantly, dodging one mechanical appendage and severing another with a precisely aimed energy disc. So much for peaceful first contact, she remarked, already moving to intercept more incoming tentacles. Goku raised the gauntlet instinctively, the Power Stone activating in response to the threat. Purple energy surrounded his free hand as he blocked a tentacle the size of a redwood tree, the impact sending shockwaves through the ocean that dissipated harmlessly against his protective field. "I don't want to destroy it," he called to 18 as she continued her surgical strikes against the attacking appendages. "It's just gathering information. Information it will use to invade," she countered, narrowly avoiding a barrage of energy blasts. "This isn't a scientific expedition, Goku. It's military reconnaissance." The creature's central mass began pulsing with increasing intensity, generating energy readings that even Goku recognized as dangerous. The Mind Stone provided instant analysis. The entity was preparing to self-destruct, a final data-gathering exercise to test the gauntlet's defensive capabilities. "It's going to blow itself up," he shouted to 18. "Get behind me." The android complied without question, moving into the protective radius of the gauntlet's field. The creature's pulsing reached critical levels. Goku quickly activated the Space Stone alongside the Power Stone, creating a containment field around the harvester just as it detonated. The explosion was contained within his spatial bubble, but the force was still staggering, equivalent to several nuclear warheads. The gauntlet absorbed the energy automatically, the Power Stone glowing intensely as it processed the massive influx. When the waters cleared, nothing remained of the creature except scattered debris slowly settling to the ocean floor. The portal it had emerged from pulsed once more before collapsing entirely. Dimensional barriers reasserting themselves. "Well," 18 commented, surveying the aftermath with clinical detachment, "I'd say that counts as valuable intelligence. Whatever sent that thing now knows you can contain a multi-megaton explosion without effort." Goku frowned, troubled by the entire encounter. "It sacrificed itself just to test my capabilities. What kind of beings would do that?" "The kind we should be very worried about," 18 replied simply. "I've seen this pattern before in my timeline. Probing attacks, sacrificial reconnaissance. It precedes full-scale invasion." The grim assessment matched Goku's own instincts. Through the Space Stone, he checked on the other anomaly sites. Both the Egyptian and Arctic portals had closed as well, their advent. CE forces either retreating or completing their missions. "We should get back," he said, opening a portal to Capsule Corporation. "I think the preliminary round just ended." 18 nodded, following him through the portal without comment. They emerged into the laboratory where Bulma and Adam waited anxiously, having witnessed everything through the viewing portals Goku had maintained. The other sites reported similar conclusions. Bulma informed them immediately. The entity in Egypt retreated after scanning Vegeta and Chi-Chi's power levels. The crystalline structures in the Arctic self-destruct UCTED after completing some kind of transmission. Coordinated reconnaissance, Adam confirmed grimly. "They've gathered the data they needed. Now they'll plan accordingly." "Who's they?" Goku asked, the question that had been bothering him since the gauntlet first appeared. "Thanos mentioned manipulating events to get the gauntlet to me specifically. These incursions seem to know exactly where to look for it. What's really going on here?" Adam's expression remained carefully neutral. "The multiverse is vast beyond comprehension, Son Goku. Many entities exist with agendas spanning multiple realities. Some seek balance, others conquest, others simply knowledge." He gestured toward the gauntlet. The Infinity Stones represent the greatest concentration of fundamental power in any single universe. They naturally attract attention. That's not really an answer, Bulma pointed out, folding her arms. It's all the answer I can provide with certainty, Adam replied. What I know is that the appearance of a complete Infinity Gauntlet in this reality has upset a delicate cosmic balance. Power vacuums do not remain empty for long. Future 18 studied Adam with open suspicion. In my timeline, cryptic warnings from godlike beings usually preceded catastrophe. If you know something specific about the threat we're facing, now would be the time to share it. Before Adam could respond, the laboratory door slid open as Vegeta and Warrior Chi-Chi returned from their mission. Both appeared physically unharmed but visibly troubled. The entity called itself an observer of the Watchers. Warrior Chi-Chi reported without preamble. It said it was cataloging the anomalous infinity event for cosmic records. Vegeta scowled, clearly dissatisfied with their encounter. It scanned us, spouted some nonsense about dimensional stabilization coefficients, then left. Complete waste of time. Not a waste, Adam corrected. It confirmed my suspicions. The Watchers only observe events of cosmic significance, universal rebirths, reality restructuring, extinction-level events. So we're on the cosmic radar, Bulma summarized. Fantastic. Any other good news? The communication system chimed, and Gohan's voice came through clearly. We're heading back. The crystal structures were some kind of multidimensional recording equipment. Piccolo thinks they were mapping dimensional stress points across the planet. More reconnaissance, Adam noted. They're being thorough. Goku looked down at the gauntlet, the 6 stones pulsing gently against his skin. What had seemed like a solution to an immediate crisis was revealing itself as something far more complex, a responsibility he wasn't sure he was prepared for. I need to understand what these stones can really do, he said quietly. Not just how to use them in a fight, but what they mean. Why they're here, why they chose me. Adam nodded approvingly. A wise perspective. The stones are not merely weapons but keys to understanding the fundamental nature of existence itself. He glanced at the others. Perhaps we might continue this training somewhere with fewer distractions. The powers you must learn to control could have unpredictable effects on the surrounding environment. Bulma immediately understood the implication. The hyperbolic time chamber. 1 day outside equals a year inside. Goku could aim with the gauntlet without risking collateral damage, and emerge with years of experience in just days, Warrior Chi-Chi added thoughtfully. Strategic advantage if we're facing imminent invasion. Vegeta crossed his arms, clearly displeased with the idea of Goku gaining such an advantage. And who's to say what spending a year with those stones might do to Kakarot's mind? Power corrupts, especially power that requires no effort to obtain. I'll go with him. Bulma surprised everyone by volunteering. Someone needs to monitor the effects of the gauntlet scientifically, and I'm the most qualified. She held up a hand to forestall Vegeta's inevitable objection. And before you say it's too dangerous, remember I've survived worse. Besides, the gauntlet seems to protect its wielder and anyone nearby. Adam considered the proposal. The time stone would indeed recognize such a dimensional anomaly and likely adapt to it. It's an elegant solution. Then it's settled, Goku decided, relieved to have a concrete plan. Bulma and I will train in the time chamber while the rest of you prepare Earth's defenses. 1 day outside, 1 year to master the gauntlet inside. Future 18 leaned against a nearby console, her expression calculating. And if these incursions escalate before your training is complete, we might not have even 1 day. A valid concern, Adam acknowledged. Perhaps a compromise. 12 hours in the chamber would provide 6 months of training, likely sufficient for basic mastery while minimizing outside risk. Goku nodded agreement. 12 hours then, but we should leave immediately. Preparations moved quickly after that. Bulma gathered essential scientific equipment while Goku discussed defense strategies with Vegeta and the others. Within an hour, they stood before the entrance to the hyperbolic time chamber at Kami's lookout, the infinite white void visible through the open doorway. 12 hours, Vegeta reminded them sternly. Not a minute longer. Whatever is coming, we face it together. Bulma adjusted the pack containing her equipment, determination written across her features. We'll be ready. To Warrior Chi-Chi, she added, Keep an eye on my family while I'm gone." The alternate Chi-Chi nodded solemnly. "With my life." As the others stepped back, Goku turned to Adam Warlock one last time. "Any final advice before we go in?" The cosmic being studied him thoughtfully. "Remember that the stones respond to intention as much as will. What you believe shapes what they become in your hands." He glanced briefly at Bulma. "And be mindful of connections formed within accelerated time. They too may prove transformative." Before Goku could ask what he meant, Adam stepped back, gesturing toward the chamber entrance. "Time waits for no being, Son Goku. Not even one who holds the time stone." With a final nod to his friends, Goku stepped through the doorway with Bulma beside him. The entrance sealed behind them, separating them from the outside world as they entered the infinite white expanse where time flowed differently and the normal rules of reality held little sway. The perfect environment to master the power of the Infinity Stones, or to be consumed by them entirely. Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, Ripples Through Time. The hyperbolic time chamber stretched endlessly before them, a white void without horizon or boundary. As the door sealed shut behind Goku and Bulma, the familiar weight of Earth's gravity disappeared, replaced by the chamber's intensified force, 10 times stronger than normal. Bulma staggered momentarily before Goku steadied her with his free hand, the gauntlet gleaming on his other arm. "I forgot how disorienting this place is," she murmured, eyes adjusting to the stark whiteness. "No reference points, no day or night cycle. Just endless nothing." "Not nothing," Goku corrected softly. "Everything. That's what makes it perfect." He flexed his gauntleted hand, watching as the 6 stones pulsed in response to the chamber's unique dimensional properties. "I can feel the time stone reacting to this place already." Bulma set down her equipment case and extracted a series of monitoring devices. With practiced efficiency, she began arranging them in a semicircle. 6 months subjective time to master the fundamental forces of the universe. "No pressure." Goku chuckled, the sound oddly comforting in the vast emptiness. "When you put it that way, maybe we should have asked for the full year." "Let's start with basics," Bulma suggested, activating her instruments. Adam mentioned each stone has its own consciousness. That sounds more mystical than scientific, but after everything we've seen, it's both, Goku confirmed, studying the gauntlet thoughtfully. "Each stone feels different. The power stone is direct, aggressive, like a warrior's spirit. The space stone feels curious, always searching. The reality stone is harder to describe, like an artist seeing possibilities everywhere." He touched each stone as he described it. "The time stone feels patient but purposeful. The mind stone is analytical, always calculating. And the soul stone," he trailed off, expression troubled. "What about it?" Bulma prompted, pausing her setup. "It feels sad," Goku admitted. "Ancient and lonely somehow. Like it's seen too much." Bulma raised an eyebrow, intrigued by his unexpected insight. "I never thought I'd hear you wax philosophical about cosmic artifacts." "Neither did I," he grinned sheepishly. "The Mind Stone is probably helping with that part." "Well, let's see what they can do together." Bulma finished arranging her monitoring equipment. "I'll record energy outputs, dimensional effects, everything I can measure. You focus on control." Goku nodded, moving to the center of the semicircle. He closed his eyes, centering himself as he would before any serious training. The difference now was the 6 external power sources connected to his consciousness, each with its own nature and purpose. "I'll start with the time stone," he decided, focusing on the green gem. "Since we're in a place where time already behaves differently." The stone responded immediately, emerald energy flowing outward in clockwork patterns that expanded through the chamber. Bulma watched in fascination as her instruments registered temporal fluctuations rippling outward from Goku's position. "Amazing," she breathed, studying the readings. "You're creating localized time dilations. According to this, time is flowing at different rates at different distances from you." Goku opened his eyes, which now glowed with green light. "I can see it," he said wonderingly. "Not just feel it, actually see time flowing. Like rivers of light, branching and rejoining." He raised his hand, and the green energy condensed into a sphere hovering above his palm. "I think I can." The sphere expanded suddenly, enveloping them both in a bubble of altered time. Outside their bubble, The chamber itself seemed to blur, temporal energy cascading in waves that revealed the passage of phantom hours in seconds. Dust motes hung suspended at the boundary of their field, caught between normal and accelerated time. "Goku," Bulma exclaimed, checking her instruments with growing alarm. "You've created a temporal recursion. A bubble of accelerated time inside the chamber that's already accelerating time." He frowned, concentrating on stabilizing the effect. "Is that bad?" "I don't know. We're potentially compounding the time dilation exponentially. One day outside could become decades in here instead of months." With visible effort, Goku reined in the time stone's energy, collapsing the temporal bubble back into the gem. "Sorry," he said, looking genuinely chagrined. "It responded more strongly than I expected." Bulma's concerned expression faded as scientific curiosity took over. "No, this is valuable data. The stones amplify each other. The time stone is respo. NDING to the chamber's existing temporal properties and multiplying them." She made rapid adjustments to her equipment. "We need to be more systematic. Try each stone individually first, then specific combinations." Goku nodded agreement, wiping sweat from his brow, the first indication that mastering the stones would require genuine effort despite his immense natural strength. "Let's try the reality stone next. It seems eager." The red gem pulsed at his words, as if acknowledging its selection. As Goku focused on it, crimson energy spiraled outward, transforming the chamber around them. The endless white void shimmered, colors bleeding into existence, blues, greens, golds, forming landscapes that appeared and disappeared like mirages. "It's showing us possibilities," Goku realized aloud. Different versions of reality. Bulma watched in awe as familiar scenes materialized briefly before dissolving. West City gleaming with advanced technology beyond even her imagination. Lush forests where cities should be. Barren wastelands scorched by battles never fought in their timeline. Most disturbing were glimpses of people, alternate versions of themselves and their friends living completely different lives. "Focus on one possibility," Bulma suggested, her scientific mind grappling with the implications. "See if you can stabilize a single alternate reality view." Goku concentrated, directing the reality stone's power toward a specific vision that had caught his attention, a peaceful meadow beneath a purple-tinged sky. The image solidified around them, transforming the chamber's featureless expanse into a tangible environment complete with gently swaying grass and the scent of unfamiliar flowers. "I can feel it," he said quietly, kneeling to touch the grass. "It's real while I maintain the connection." Bulma cautiously approached a crystalline formation rising from the meadow, something that couldn't exist under Earth's physical laws. When she touched it, the crystal chimed with musical notes that hung in the air unnaturally long. "This is incredible," she breathed. "You're not creating an illusion, you're actually rewriting local physics to accommodate this reality's properties." The realization seemed to disturb Goku. With a thought, he released the reality stone's influence, returning the chamber to its pristine white state. "That's a lot of responsibility," he said, staring at the red gem embedded in the gauntlet. "Changing reality itself, which is exactly why Adam wanted you to train," Bulma reminded him. "Better to discover these capabilities here than in the middle of a crisis." Goku nodded, determination replacing uncertainty. "Let's continue." Over what felt like days, though time's passage remained difficult to gauge in the chamber, they methodically explored each stone's capabilities. The Power Stone proved most straightforward, amplifying Goku's already formidable strength and energy projection abilities exponentially. The Space Street one allowed him to create portals to any location he could visualize, even generating windows to distant galaxies beyond anything Earth's telescopes had observed. The Mind Stone enhanced Goku's cognitive abilities dramatically, enabling him to comprehend complex scientific principles that Bulma explained and even anticipate the theoretical applications before she verbalized them. The Soul Stone proved most challenging, its abilities letting him perceive the essence of living beings beyond physical form, an experience he found simultaneously profound and unsettling. Throughout these experiments, Bulma remained the consummate scientist, documenting everything while helping Goku understand the theoretical underpinnings of what the stones were enabling him to do. Her tireless analysis helped him gain conscious control over abilities that might otherwise have manifested as instinctive and unpredictable. The key is intention, she explained during a brief rest period, reviewing data CTED over their first month in the chamber. Each stone responds differently depending on what you're trying to accomplish. The space stone creates different effects when you're thinking about transportation versus observation. Goku nodded, materializing a simple meal using a controlled combination of the reality and space stones, drawing actual food molecules from elsewhere rather than creating illusory sustenance. It's like learning a new martial arts style, he observed. The power was always there, I just need to understand how to direct it properly. As subjective weeks became months inside the chamber, their routine evolved. Mornings began with Goku practicing precise control over individual stones. Afternoons focused on specific combinations for practical applications, using Realit, Y and space together for environmental manipulation, or time and mind for predictive analysis of potential actions. Evenings were devoted to theoretical discussions, with Bulma helping Goku understand the scientific principles underlying the stone's powers, while he shared insights into their more metaphysical aspects that he perceived directly through his connection to them. Their living space evolved as well. Using the reality stone, Goku created a comfortable dwelling area within the endless void, not an illusion but a localized restructuring of the chamber's malleable environment. Bulma expanded her research station, instruments now capable of detecting subtle interactions between the stones that weren't apparent when they began. 4 months into their training, the breakthrough came. During a particularly challenging exercise combining all 6 stones simultaneously, Goku stood at the center of their created living space, arms extended as energy from each stone flowed through and around him in a complex, harmonized pattern. Instead of fighting to control each stone individually, he allowed them to balance each other, power tempered by mind, reality grounded by soul, space directed by time. I can feel it, he said, voice resonating with newfound understanding. They're not separate forces, they're aspects of the same underlying reality. As the energies merged, the gauntlet itself began to change. The bluish tint that had begun appearing where it contacted Goku's skin now spread throughout the entire structure. The rigid golden metal became more fluid, conforming perfectly to his arm while the 6 stones shifted position, arranging themselves in a circular pattern over his palm. It's adapting to you, Bulma observed, instruments recording the transformation. Are you adapting to it? The energy signatures are harmonizing. When the transformation completed, the gauntlet no longer resembled Thanos' golden weapon. Instead, it had become something uniquely Su-ited to Goku, a sleek armguard in deep sapphire that extended from wrist to elbow, with the 6 stones now appearing as though they were part of his very skin rather than embedded in external metal. Quote, the Infinity Stones have accepted you as their wielder, Bulma concluded, reviewing the data. Not just temporarily, but fundamentally. Goku studied the transformed gauntlet with mixed emotions. Is that good or bad? I'm not sure morality applies to cosmic forces, she replied thoughtfully. But if they had to choose someone, I'm glad it was you. Her expression softened as she added, anyone else would have been corrupted by now. Quote, their eyes met, a moment of understanding passing between them that transcended their decades of friendship. In the isolated environment of the chamber, working together daily for months, their relationship had evolved in ways neither had anticipated. Bulma, Goku began, uncharacteristically hesitant, there's something I've been meaning to. A sudden tremor interrupted him, rippling through the chamber's structure. The fabricated environment they'd created flickered momentarily as energy patterns throughout the void destabilized. What was that? Bulma asked, checking her instruments. Some kind of external interference. Goku closed his eyes, extending his awareness through the space stone. Something's happening outside. The chamber is shielded from most external forces. But whatever this is, he frowned. It feels like another dimensional disruption, stronger than before. Can you see what's happening? He concentrated harder, the space and time stones activating simultaneously to pierce the chamber's isolation. I see, conflict, energy signatures I don't recognize. And, his eyes snapped open, we need to go back. Now. But it's only been 5 months subjective time, Bulma protested. We have another month before. No time, Goku insisted, already gathering their essential equipment with tendrils of space stone energy. Something's very wrong out there. With practiced efficiency born of months working together, they quickly prepared for departure. As Goku opened the chamber door, Bulma placed a hand on his newly transformed gauntlet. "Whatever we're facing," she said with quiet confidence, "you're ready." The door swung open to chaos. The lookout, normally a place of serene detachment from worldly concerns, was now a battlefield. Sections of the ancient platform had been destroyed, smoking craters marking impacts from energy weapons unlike anything from Earth. Dend worked frantically to heal injured defenders while Mr. Popo attempted to extinguish fires threatening the remaining structures. Most shocking was the sight of multiple unfamiliar beings engaged in combat with Earth's defenders. War. Rear Chi-Chi fought back-to-back with Vegeta against armored humanoids wielding energy shields and phase-shifting weapons. Gohan and Piccolo contained what appeared to be a swirling vortex of living darkness attempting to consume the lookout's core. Goku, Bulma, Dend spotted them first, relief evident in his exhausted features. "Thank goodness. We tried to reach you, but the chamber was somehow blocked from outside communication." "What happened?" Goku demanded, immediately assessing the battlefield with both natural combat instincts and the Mind Stone's strategic analysis. "Dimensional incursions," Dend explained hurriedly between healing efforts. "Not just scouts anymore. Coordinated attacks at strategic locations worldwide. This group specifically targeted the lookout. They knew about the time chamber. They were trying to prevent your training," came a new voice as a figure limped from behind a damaged column. The newcomer wore elaborate blue robes over what appeared to be battle armor. A red cape flowing behind him despite the absence of wind. His goateed face bore fresh cuts, and he leaned heavily on one leg, but his eyes burned with formidable intelligence and power. "Dr. Strange, I presume," Bulma said, recognizing the description from Wanda's earlier account. The sorcerer nodded curtly. "And you've been in accelerated time training with the Infinity Stones." His gaze fixed on Goku's transformed gauntlet. "Interesting adaptation. The question is whether you've learned enough to handle what's coming." Before Goku could respond, Vegeta's battle roar drew air attention as he unleashed a devastating attack against the armored invaders, driving them back momentarily. Warrior Chi-Chi capitalized on the opening, her modified weapons firing concentrated energy bursts that disrupted their opponents' phase-shifting abilities. First things first, Goku decided, the Power Stone flaring to life as he stepped forward. With precise control born of months of practice, he projected a wave of energy that specifically targeted the invading forces while leaving Earth's defenders untouched. The purple energy enveloped the armored attackers, immobilizing them in suspended animation rather than destroying them. The swirling darkness creature proved more resilient, absorbing the energy Goku directed at it. Without hesitation, he switched tactics, activating the Reality Stone instead. Red energy lanced outward, fundamentally altering the entity's composition from chaotic void matter to inert crystalline structure. The transformation spread rapidly through the creature, leaving behind a stationary formation that resembled black quartz. The entire confrontation ended in seconds, demonstrating mastery that left even Vegeta momentarily speechless. "Efficient drive," Strange commented, approaching with slightly less suspicion in his gaze. "And notably non-lethal. Perhaps Adam Warlock's faith in you isn't entirely misplaced." "Adam sent you?" Bulma asked, already moving to check on the injured defenders. "Not exactly." Strange made a complex gesture, green energy briefly swirling around his hands, energy Goku now recognized as similar to the Time Stone's signature. "I sensed the dimensional disturbances from my reality and tracked them to their source. When I arrived, Earth was already under attack from multiple vectors. Warrior Chi-Chi joined them, breathing heavily from exertion but otherwise unharmed. These attacks started about 3 hours after you entered the chamber. Coordinated strikes against defensive positions, scientific facilities, and places of mystical significance." 3 hours, Bulma exclaimed. "We've been in there for over 5 months subjective time." "Approximately 10 hours objective time," Strange corrected. The chamber's temporal dilation effect was enhanced by proximity to the Time Stone. "Fortunate, as it gave you more training than anticipated." Vegeta landed beside them, his battle suit torn and blood trickling from a cut above his eye. His gaze immediately fixed on Goku's transformed gauntlet. "I see you've been busy playing with your new toy, Kakarot." "It's not a toy, Vegeta," Goku replied with uncharacteristic seriousness. And I haven't been playing. Something in his tone, a quiet confidence beyond his usual battle enthusiasm, caused Vegeta to study him more carefully. You've changed. 5 months of intense training will do that, Bulma interjected, returning from her quick assessment of the defenders. Where's Adam Warlock? I thought he'd be coordinating the defense. Gone to confront another incursion in orbit. Warrior Chi explained. Some kind of massive ship appeared and started deploying smaller craft. He said it was a harvester arc he recognized from another sector. Dr. Strange's expression darkened. If the harvesters have joined this conflict, the situation is worse than I feared. He turned to Goku. The dimensional barriers between our realities were never meant to be this permeable. Each incursion weakens them further. If they collapse completely, the end of both our universes, a new voice finished. They turned to find a woman standing at the edge of the damaged lookout platform, Android 18, but not the one they knew or even the future variant they'd met earlier. This 18 wore what appeared to be battle armor composed of unfamiliar metallic alloys, with circuitry patterns glowing beneath her skin and an expression of grim determination etched into features that had clearly witnessed untold hardship. Another timeline variant? Bulma asked, though the answer seemed obvious. The last survivor of my timeline, the new 18 corrected flatly. EARTH 3891. A reality where Goku received the Infinity Gauntlet but wasn't prepared for what followed. Her words fell like stones into still water, rippling unease through the group. Even Vegeta tensed at the implication. Explain. Drive. Strange demanded, his cape shifting as he stride. GHTENED to his full height despite his injuries. My reality was approximately 6 months ahead of yours in this sequence of events, she replied, approaching with measured steps. Goku gained the gauntlet, faced initial incursions, even spent time in accelerated training. Her gaze swept over Goku's transformed gauntlet. But he didn't achieve true synthesis with the stones before the convergence began. The convergence? Bulma questioned. When dimensional barriers fail completely and realities begin to overlap and merge, Strange explained, his expression grim. It begins with incursions like these, escalates to permanent dimensional rifts, and ultimately results in total multiversal collapse. The variant 18 nodded confirmation. In my timeline, we weren't prepared. The Council of Kangs launched their chronal invasion at the precise moment the Beyonders attacked from outside conventional space-time. Earth's defenses were overwhelmed within hours. She rolled up her sleeve, revealing an advanced device embedded in her forearm. With a gesture, it projected a holographic display showing utter devastation, cities reduced to ash, dimensional rifts tearing open the sky, and GS of incomprehensible nature striding across ruined landscapes. I escaped through a temporal displacement device Bulma created with her last breath, she continued, her mechanical voice never wavering despite the horror she described. Programmed to find the nearest adjacent timeline where intervention might prevent the same outcome. Goku studied the holographic images with the aid of the Mind Stone, analyzing the attacker's capabilities and comparing them to his current mastery of the Gauntlet. These Council of Kangs, who are they? Time travelers with technology advanced enough to rival the Infinity Stones, 18 replied. They seek to conquer all timelines, eliminating variants they consider unworthy of existence. And the Beyonders? Vegeta demanded, clearly calculating threat levels and battle strategies. Entities from outside the multiverse entirely. They view our reality as a failed experiment to be terminated. She deactivated the hologram, her gaze fixing on Goku. In my timeline, you fought bravely. You died last, holding back the final incursion long enough for Bulma to complete the displacement device. The matter-of-fact description of his alternate self's last stand hung in the air, sobering even Vegeta. Dr. Strange broke the silence, addressing the variant 18 directly. Your timeline, could it still be saved? She shook her head. Total collapse OCCU. RRED approximately 3 minutes after my displacement. There's nothing left to save. But this timeline could be different, Bulma insisted, her scientific mind already processing implications and possibilities. Goku's gauntlet has transformed, showing deeper integration with the stones than your timeline's version achieved. Perhaps, the variant 18 acknowledged, studying Goku with analytical precision. The power signature is indeed different. More harmonized. What exactly is this convergence? Goku asked, focusing on the immediate threat. And how much time do we have before it reaches critical levels? Dr. Strange made a complex gesture, green energy forming circular patterns that expanded into a multidimensional model hovering between them. The multiverse exists as adjacent dimensional planes, normally separated by barriers that prevent interaction. The model showed countless sheets of reality stacked in complex arrangements. When these barriers weaken, incursions OCC. Limited crossovers like the ones you've experienced so far. He manipulated the model, showing the barriers deteriorating further. As degradation continues, permanent bridges form between realities. Temporal and spatial laws begin to break down. Ultimately, realities begin to merge catastrophically. The model demonstrated whole sections of the multiverse collapsing into each other, releasing enormous energy bursts that cascaded outward, destroying even more dimensional barriers. In my timeline, Variant 18 added, we progressed from initial incursions to total convergence in approximately 72 hours. And in this timeline, Warrior Chi-Chi asked, her tactical mind already considering defensive options. Based on current barrier degradation rates, Drive. Strange calculated, studying the model. We have less than 48 hours before permanent rifts begin forming. Perhaps another day beyond that before catastrophic merger initiates. Vegeta scoffed, though without his usual confidence. So the fate of the entire multiverse rests on Kakarot and his new accessories. How reassuring. Not just Goku, Bulma corrected sharply. All of us. The Gauntlet is powerful, BU. Coordinated defense will require everyone. She's right, Goku agreed. I've learned a lot about the stone's capabilities, but we need strategy, not just power. He turned to Dr. Strange. You understand the dimensional aspects better than anyone here. How do we stabilize the barriers? The sorcerer studied him thoughtfully, perhaps reassessing his initial skepticism. The Infinity Stones in your reality have unique properties compared to mine. Together, they might be able to repair the dimensional fabric, essentially reinforcing the barriers between worlds. But that's just treating symptoms, Variant 18 interjected. In my timeline, we attempted similar repairs. They held temporarily but failed because we never addressed the root cause. Which is, Vegeta demanded impatiently. Quote, someone is deliberately weakening the barriers, she stated flatly. These incursions aren't random. They're coordinated attacks designed to accelerate multiversal collapse. The revelation hung heavily in the air. Goku exchanged glances with Bulma, both recalling Thanos' ominous words about manipulating events to bring the gauntlet to him specifically. Thanos, Goku said quietly. He claimed to be working towards some larger plan involving multiversal restructuring. Dr. Strange's expression darkened. Thanos is dangerous, but he's merely one player in a larger cosmic game. The pattern of incursions suggests multiple factions working toward competing goals, using the dimensional instability to their advantage. Then we need information, Bulma decided. We can't defend against enemies we don't understand. Variant 18 stepped forward. I brought data from my timeline, attack patterns, enemy capabilities, strategic vulnerabilities. She interfaced her arm device with one of Bulma's surviving instruments. It may not match your reality perfectly, but the major players should be consistent. As information transferred between devices, Drive. Strange studied Goku's transformed gauntlet with newfound interest. The synergy you've achieved with the stones is remarkable. In my reality, the gauntlet remains a tool, powerful but external. You've internalized its power somehow. Not just power, Goku corrected. Understanding. The stones aren't separate from reality, they're expressions of it. Using them isn't about forcing change but guiding what's already there. The philosoph. Ical insight surprised everyone, especially Vegeta, whose expression shifted from skepticism to reluctant reassessment. Kakarot, contemplating the nature of reality. He remarked dryly, perhaps the universe truly is ending. Despite the grave situation, Bulma smiled slightly. 5 months with nothing but cosmic forces and scientific theory for company changes a person. Her gaze lingered on Goku with understated affection before returning to the practical matter at hand. Data transfer complete. Let's see what we're up against. The holographic display expanded, showing multiple threat Categories organized by dimensional origin, capability, and apparent objectives. Most prominent were three major factions. The Council of Kangs, time-traveling conquerors with technology capable of manipulating chronological flow and erasing entire timelines they deemed aberrant. The Beyonders, extra-dimensional entities viewing the multiverse as a failed experiment, seeking to end all realities simultaneously to begin anew. The Harvesters, a collective consciousness spanning multiple realities, absorbing civilizations and technologies into their hive mind to achieve what they considered optimal evolutionary outcomes. In my timeline, Variant 18 explained, these three factions initially fought each other while attacking Earth separately. By the time they realized the Infinity Gauntlet could threaten all of them, it was too late for us, but not too late for them to form a temporary alliance. So we're potentially facing three multiversal superpowers simultaneously, Warrior Chi-Chi summarized grimly. Each capable of destroying Earth without the other's help. And that's not counting opportunistic lesser players taking advantage of the chaos drive. Strange added, my arrival here was contested by entities I'd classify as dimensional scavengers, beings that feed on the energy released during reality collapse. Goku absorbed this information with the aid of the Mind Stone, processing strategic implications at a speed that would have been impossible for him before the Gauntlet. We need to strengthen Earth's dimensional barriers immediately while preparing for confrontation with these major threats. Can the Gauntlet actually repair reality itself? Gohan asked, joining the discussion after containing the remaining invaders with Piccolo's help. Theoretically, drive, Strange confirmed. The stones represent fundamental aspects of existence. Together, they could reinforce the dimensional barriers surrounding Earth, creating a bubble of stability within the growing chaos. And give us time to address the root causes, Bulma added, studying the data from Variant 18's timeline. According to this, the convergence originated from a specific nexus point, a locality on where dimensional barriers are naturally thinner. The nexus of all realities, drive. Strange nodded. In my dimension, it's located in a place called the Everglades. But its position varies between realities. In this timeline, initial readings suggest it's somewhere in the Arctic Circle, Variant 18 reported. Coordinates match an area where dimensional energy has been fluctuating for centuries. Vegeta's tactical mind immediately grasped the implications. So we stabilize Earth's immediate dimensional surroundings, then strike at this nexus point to prevent further degradation. It won't be that simple, drive. Strange cautioned. The nexus is likely already under control of one or more factions. Based on these incursion patterns, he gestured to the holographic display, I'd say He Council of Kangs established a foothold there approximately 7 hours ago. Then we take it back, Goku said with quiet determination. But first, we protect Earth. He stepped to the edge of the lookout, surveying the planet spread below. From this height, the signs of dimensional instability were clearly visible, shimmering distortions in the atmosphere where reality had grown thin, brief. Flashes of other worlds visible through weakening barriers. I need height and central position for maximum effect, he said, the gauntlet already beginning to glow as all 6 stones activated simultaneously. And I'll need to concentrate completely. We'll defend you, Gohan promised, moving to stand beside his father. Whatever comes through while you're working. Vegeta crossed his arms, his expression complex, concern, rivalry, and reluctant respect warring for dominance. Don't strain yourself, Kakarot. If you fall, there's no one else who can wield that thing properly. The rare atom, Ishin of Goku's unique capability spoke volumes about the gravity of the situation. Goku nodded acknowledgement before turning to Bulma. I might need your help maintaining focus. The gauntlet responds differently when you're nearby, more stable somehow. The observation drew curious glances from the others, but Bulma simply nodded, moving to stand beside him without comment. The rest of you, Goku addressed the assembled defenders. Prepare for immediate response to any incursions that break through while I'm establishing the barrier. Dend, can you monitor global communications? We need to know instantly if something gets past us. The young Namekian guardian nodded. I've already established contact with King Kai. He's coordinating with the other Kais to monitor dimensional stability across the universe. Good. Goku took a deep breath, centering himself as he prepared to channel all 6 Infinity Stones simultaneously, something he'd practiced extensively in the time chamber but never at planetary scale. Everyone ready. At their affirmative responses, he closed his eyes and raised the gauntleted hand. The 6 stones blazed to life, their energies swirling together in perfect harmony. Unlike his earlier attempts, where each stone's power remained distinct, now they blended into a singular force, neither blue nor red nor green, but a luminous white energy that contained all colors simultaneously. The power flowed outward from his position, expanding in a perfect sphere that enveloped the lookout before continuing to grow. As it spread, the energy adapted to Earth's natural dimensional frequency, reinforcing rather than replacing the existing barriers between realities. Through his connection to the stones, Goku perceived the entire planet at once, every location where dimensional fabric had weakened, every incursion point actively breaching their reality. The white energy sought these vulnerabilities specifically, sealing breaches and reinforcing weakened areas with particular attention. The effort was immense, requiring concentration beyond anything he'd previously attempted. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he maintained the expanding field, carefully balancing the stone's immense power to avoid disrupting Earth's natural dimensional state. Beside him, Bulma monitored the process with instruments hastily salvaged from her damaged equipment. Energy. Y field maintaining coherence at 87% efficiency, she reported. Dimensional stabilization occurring at all monitored breach points. Dr. Strange observed with professional assessment, occasionally making gestures that seemed to guide or reinforce particular aspects of the expanding barrier. The integration is remarkable, he commented. He's not forcing a new structure but NC-ing Earth's natural dimensional resonance. The process continued for nearly 20 minutes as the field expanded to encompass the entire planet. When it finally reached full coverage, Goku adjusted its properties one final time. Not a rigid barrier that would prevent all cross-dimensional travel, but a selective membrane that stabilized reality while still allowing controlled passage. It's done, he announced, lowering his arm as the visible energy faded from sight, though its effects remained active. Earth's dimensional boundaries are reinforced. Nothing's getting through without expending enormous energy that will alert us immediately. He swayed slightly from the effort, and Bulma steadied him with a hand on his shoulder. The contact seemed to energize him, the soul stone briefly flaring in response to their connection. The barrier is holding. Drive. Strange confirmed after checking with his own mystical senses. Dimensional pressure has decreased by approximately 60%. We've bought ourselves time. Quote, how much? Warrior Chi asked practically. Based on current degradation rates beyond Earth's immediate vicinity, Variant 18 calculated, approximately 36 hours before external pressure overwhelms the reinforcement. Vegeta scoffed. So we've gained a day. Hardly seems worth the effort. A day could make all the difference, Bulma countered sharply. Especially if we use it to address the source of the problem. The Nexus, Goku agreed, recovering his strength remarkably quickly. We need to secure it before the convergence progresses further. Dr. Strange nodded grimly, and we should assume the Council of Kangs is expecting us. They're chronally aware, they can perceive potential futures and prepare accordingly. Let them prepare, Vegeta declared with characteristic confidence. They haven't faced Saiyans before. Actually, they have, Variant 18 corrected flatly. In my timeline, they specifically targeted Saiyan warriors first, considering them the primary threat to their operations. They've studied your fighting styles, energy manipulation techniques, even your transformation triggers. This information visibly unsettled Vegeta, though he masked it quickly. Then we'll simply have to surprise them. First, we need intelligence, Warrior Chi interjected practically. We can't just charge into the Arctic blind. We need to know exactly what we're facing. Goku nodded agreement, the Mind Stone enhancing his strategic thinking. Dr. Strange, can you use your mystical senses to scout the Nexus without being detected? The sorcerer considered the request. Perhaps, though the Council of Kangs has technology specifically designed to detect and counter mystic arts. I might get through briefly, but not unnoticed. What about technological reconnaissance? Bulma suggested. Satellite imagery, spectral analysis. Variant 18 shook her head. They'll have temporal disruption fields that render conventional observation useless. In my timeline, every reconnaissance attempt was detected and countered. Goku studied his transformed gauntlet thoughtfully. What about the stones? I might be able to use the space stone to observe without creating a detectable portal. Risky. Drive. Strange cautioned. The Infinity Stones emit unique energy signatures across the multiverse. Using them, even passively, might alert our enemies to your capabilities. They already know I have the gauntlet, Goku reasoned. That's why they tried to prevent our training in the time chamber. Yes, but they may not know the extent of your mastery. Bulma pointed out. That could be our one advantage. Vegeta, who had been uncharacteristically quiet during the strategic discussion, suddenly straightened. There is another option. All eyes turned to him as he continued reluctantly. The divine realm exists adjacent to but separate from mortal dimensions. The gods of destruction and their attendants can observe realities without directly interacting with them. Whis and Beerus, Gohan realized. They could potentially scout the Nexus without being detected by mortal technology or mystical countermeasures. Assuming they're willing to help, Piccolo added skeptically. Beerus typically concerns himself with threats to his own universe, not multiversal politics. A multiversal collapse would certainly threaten his universe. Bulma pointed out. Even gods aren't immune to reality itself breaking down. I can contact them, Goku offered, the space stone pulsing gently. The gauntlet enhances my ability to reach across dimensional boundaries. Dr. Strange studied him with renewed interest. The relationship between cosmic entities and Infinity Stones varies between realities. In mine, the most powerful beings approach the stones with caution. Beerus and Whis aren't exactly cautious, Goku replied with a hint of his old humor. But they do understand power. With careful concentration, he activated the space stone alone, creating not a portal but a communication link that stretched beyond conventional reality into the divine realm. The sensation was different from his Al-Ki-based techniques, more precise and less energy-intensive. After a moment, the space before them shimmered, and two familiar figures appeared, not physically present but visible and audible through the dimensional link Goku had established. My, Whis remarked, his perpetually pleasant expression showing mild surprise. What an interesting method of communication, Goku. I see you've read some new abilities since our last meeting. Beside him, Beerus yawned theatrically, though his eyes narrowed with interest at the sight of the transformed gauntlet. So the rumors reaching even the divine realm are true. The Saiyan has obtained artifacts of considerable power. Lord Beerus, Whis, Goku greeted respectfully. We need your help. The multiverse is experiencing a convergence that threatens all realities, including yours. Whis's expression grew more serious. Yes, we've been monitoring the situation with some concern. The dimensional barriers between universes have grown troublingly thin in recent days. Then you know how serious this is, Bulma interjected. We need information about a location called the Nexus of all realities. In this timeline, it appears to be somewhere in the Arctic Circle. Ah, the Nexus, Whis nodded knowingly. A fascinating phenomenon, a point where all possible realities intersect naturally. Each universe has one, though their locations vary. Beerus scratched his ear disinterestedly. And why should we involve ourselves in this mortal crisis? The divine realm exists beyond such concerns. Not this time, Drive. Strange stated firmly, stepping forward. I am the sorcerer supreme of my reality, guardian of the mystic arts and dimensional boundaries. I can state with certainty that this convergence threatens even the divine realm. The collapse propagates backward through dimensional hierarchies once it reaches critical mass. This caught Beerus's attention. His casual posture shifted subtly to one of greater alertness. As that's so, Whis, you failed to mention that detail. I was getting to it, my lord, the angel replied mildly. I've been calculating the probability matrices. If the convergence continues unchecked, there is a 78.3% chance it will destabilize even Universe 7's divine structures within approximately 9 days. 9 days, Beerus growled. That's barely enough time for a proper nap. Despite the grave situation, Goku couldn't help a small smile at the destroyer's characteristic response. Then you'll help us. Whis inclined his head slightly. Information gathering falls well within appropriate divine intervention parameters. What specifically do you need to know about this Arctic Nexus? Who controls it currently? Warrior Chi-Chi answered promptly. Defensive capabilities, number of operatives, technological countermeasures, and whether they've begun destabilizing it deliberately, Variant 18 added. In my timeline, the Council of Kangs placed chronal accelerators around the N-axis perimeter to hasten the convergence. Whis tapped his staff thoughtfully. I shall investigate personally. Lord Beerus can continue his nap while I'm gone. Bring back something interesting to report, Beerus commanded, already settling back into a more comfortable position. This convergence business is disrupting my schedule. Of course, my lord. I shall return shortly. Whis turned to address Goku directly. Maintain this communication link if you can do so without strain. I'll report back within what you would measure as 1 hour. With that, Whis vanished from the image, leaving Beerus lounging alone in the divine realm. The destroyer god studied Goku with slightly more interest than before. So, Saiyan, you've become master of the Infinity Stones. Ambitious, even for you. Not by choice, Goku replied honestly. They appeared when we needed them to stop the initial dimensional collapse. Beerus's eyes narrowed. Things of that power rarely appear by coincidence. Someone or something wanted you specifically to wield them. His gaze shifted to the transformed gauntlet. Interesting adaptation. The stones have bonded with your key signature. You know about the Infinity Stones? Bulma asked, surprised by his apparent familiarity. Of course, Beerus replied with mild indignation. Gods of destruction are educated in all forms of universal power. The Infinity Stones represent fundamental forces of creation, counterbalanced to our powers of destruction. His expression grew uncharacteristically serious. They are not toys, Saiyan, though I suspect you've already learned that. I have, Goku acknowledged. 5 months in the time chamber with nothing but the stones and Bulma's guidance. 5 months. Beerus raised an eyebrow. Accelerated temporal training. Perhaps you're not as reckless as I assumed. He yawned again, though his eyes remained alert. Wake me when Whis returns with something useful. The communication window remained open but inactive as the group on the lookout used the waiting time to prepare. Bulma worked with Variant 18 to analyze tactical data from the alternate timeline, identifying potential weaknesses in their enemies' strategies. Warrior Chi-Chi and Vegeta discussed combat approaches against the technologically advanced Council of Kangs, while Gohan and Piccolo coordinated Earth's remaining defenders via communication links. Dr. Strange approached Goku, who stood slightly apart, maintaining the dimensional link with minimal apparent effort. Your control has improved dramatically, the sorcerer observed. When I first arrived on this Earth, I sensed the Gauntlet's power fluctuating erratically. Now it's stable, harmonized with your natural energy. Goku nodded. Bulma helped me understand what was happening scientifically while I learned to feel the connections intuitively. The stones don't want to be controlled, they want to be understood. A perspective few wielders ever achieve, Strange noted with reluctant respect. In my reality, the stones remain separate by design, too dangerous together even for the most disciplined minds. And yet here they are, combined in this gauntlet, Goku mused. I still don't fully understand why they came to me specifically. Perhaps that's precisely why they did, Strange suggested cryptically. Those who seek such power rarely deserve it. Those who accept it reluctantly often prove worthy. Their philosophical discussion was interrupted as the communication window flared with renewed activity. Whis reappeared beside the still lounging Beerus, his typical serene expression replaced by one of genuine concern. I've completed my reconnaissance, he announced without preamble. The situation is more complex than anticipated. Beerus sat up straighter, alerted by his attendant's uncharacteristic seriousness. Report. The Arctic Nexus is indeed under control of beings matching the description of the Council of Kangs, Whis confirmed. Approximately 17 operatives with technology capable of manipulating local temporal fields. They've established a perimeter of devices around the Nexus point, devices that appear to be accelerating dimensional degradation. As we suspected, Variant 18 said grimly. Same approach as in my timeline. However, Whis continued, they are not alone. Monitoring the situation from near orbit is a vessel of harvester design, containing what appears to be an advance force preparing for ground deployment. Additionally, I detected anomalous energy signatures consistent with Beyonder manifestatio. approximately 12 kilometers from the primary Nexus site. All three factions, Drive, Strange realized aloud, they've converged on the Nexus independently. Not independently, Whis corrected. They appear aware of each other's presence but are deliberately avoiding direct confrontation while focusing on the Nexus itself. I observed communication exchanges suggesting temporary non-aggression, on to achieve their separate but compatible short-term goals. An alliance of convenience, Warrior Chi-Chi translated. Just like in her timeline. She nodded toward Variant 18. The technological countermeasures are extensive. Whis continued. Temporal disruption fields that would prevent conventional teleportation, energy dampeners calibrated to standard key signatures, and what appear to be specific countermeasures against mystical approaches. This last observation was directed toward Drive. Strange. They're prepared for us, Vegeta concluded, though he sounded more excited than concerned at the prospect of worthy opposition. Indeed, Whis agreed. Most concerning, however, is the Nexus itself. It has already begun destabilizing beyond natural parameters. I estimate approximately 22 hours before it reaches critical instability, at which point dimensional collapse will accelerate beyond anyone's ability to control. Even with the Infinity Gauntlet? Bulma asked. Whis studied Goku's transformed gauntlet thoughtfully. The stones in your reality appear uniquely synchronized with your natural energy. It's possible you could stabilize the Nexus temporarily, but only if you can reach it through the combined technological and mystical barriers surrounding it. Then we need a plan of attack, Goku decided. Something they won't expect. Direct confrontation would be unwise, Whis advised. Their combined forces outnumber and potentially outmatch even your considerable capabilities. What about a diversion? Gohan suggested. Draw their attention while a smaller team approaches the Nexus directly. Quote, Variant 18 shook her head. Tried that in my timeline. The Council of Kangs has predictive algorithms that anticipated our strategy. They intercepted the LT ration team before they got within a kilometer of the Nexus. Then we need something unpredictable, Bulma concluded. Something that even time-traveling conquerors with predictive technology wouldn't anticipate. Vegeta smirked suddenly, an idea clearly forming. What about approaching through the divine realm itself? If these Kangs are so focused on mortal approaches. Whis raised an eyebrow. An interesting proposal, but transporting mortals through the divine realm requires explicit permission from the Grand Priest. Such authorization would take time we do not have. What about a combined approach? Goku suggested, the Mind Stone enhancing his tactical thinking. Dr. Strange's mystical methods, Whis' divine perspective, and the Infinity Stone's fundamental power. 3 approaches they might be prepared for individually, but not in concert. Dr. Strange considered this thoughtfully. Dimensional approaches exist that even time travelers might not anticipate. The multiverse has layers beyond conventional understanding. The mirror dimension, Whis nodded in sudden understanding. A plane adjacent to but separate from physical reality. Combined with the space stone's capabilities and my divine pathways. Quote, we could bypass their perimeter entirely, Strange finished, genuine respect in his voice. Appearing directly at the Nexus itself. They'd still detect us the moment we materialized. Variant 18 pointed out, and respond with overwhelming force. Not if we split their attention, Warrior Chi-Chi interjected. Multiple simultaneous threats requiring immediate response would divide their forces. A plan began taking shape as they combined their diverse knowledge and capabilities. Goku would lead a primary team consisting of Dr. Strange, Bulma, and Variant 18 to approach the Nexus through a combined dimensional pathway. Simultaneously, Vegeta would command a diversionary force including Warrior Chi-Chi, Gohan, and Piccolo, launching a direct Su on the Council of Kangs, perimeter defenses. Meanwhile, Whis would monitor from the Divine Realm, providing real-time intelligence on enemy movements while Beerus, somewhat reluctantly, agreed to stand ready as a final contingency should the situation deteriorate beyond mortal resolution. We move in 6 hours, Goku decided after they'd finalized the details. Everyone rest and prepare while we can. As the others dispersed to make individual preparations, Vegeta approached Goku privately, his expression uncharacteristically troubled. A word, Kakarot. They moved to a relatively undamaged section of the lookout. Away from the others. For a moment, Vegeta simply studied the transformed Gauntlet with complex emotions playing across his features. "You realize what you've become," he finally said. Not a question but a statement. Goku met his gaze steadily. "I'm still me, Vegeta. Are you?" The prince's voice carried no accusation, only genuine concern masked by his typical gruffness. "I've watched you since you emerged from the time chamber. You speak differently, think differently. The stones aren't just tools you're using, they're changing you." The observation struck closer to truth than Goku had acknowledged even to himself. He glanced down at the gauntlet, where the 6 stones pulsed in harmony with his heartbeat. "I feel the difference," he admitted quietly. Quote, "The Mind Stone helps me understand concepts I never could before. The Soul Stone shows me connections between people I was always too simple to notice. The Time Stone gives me perspective beyond the moment." He looked up, meeting Vegeta's gaze directly. "But my core hasn't changed. I still fight to protect what matters. I still believe in second chances. I'm still Goku." Vegeta studied him intently, searching for deception or self-delusion and finding neither. Power like that, it would corrupt anyone else. Any normal person would have become a god in their own mind by now. A faint smile touched Goku's lips. "Maybe that's why the stones chose me. I never wanted to be a god. I just wanted to be strong enough to face the next challenge." After a moment, Vegeta nodded, seemingly satisfied. "Just remember who you are, Kakarot. When we face whatever's waiting at that nexus, when the full power of those stones tempts you with easy solutions, remember the Saiyan you were before all this." The uncharacteristic concern from his lifelong rival turned friend touched Goku deeply. He placed his non-gauntleted hand on Vegeta's shoulder briefly. "I will. And I'll need you to remind me if I forget." A familiar smirk returned to Vegeta's features. "Oh, I will," loudly and repeatedly, as always. The moment of understanding passed as they rejoined the others, final preparations underway. Why for what might be the most consequential battle any of them had faced. Not just for Earth or their universe, but for the structure of reality itself. As Goku observed his assembled allies, the Soul Stone revealed connections between them that transcended their diverse origins, bonds of loyalty, friendship, and shared purpose that remained constant despite the dimensional chaos threatening to engulf them all. Whatever awaited at the Arctic Nexus, whatever cosmic forces had set these events in motion, one thing remained certain: they would face it together, defenders of a multiverse teetering on the edge of convergence. Chapter 3 End. The End. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.